And we're back. So next time, made a mistake. So this time I made a mistake of not plugging in the laptops.
There's a firework?
Yeah, I guess a firework went off. Okay. Hold on, take two. Okay. That distracted. Okay. We are back. Last time I made the mistake, or not the last time. Okay, hold on. We are back. I made the mistake of not plugging in the laptops. So now we did. Because that laptop wasn't plugged in, it ran out of battery, and that cut off Chris's mic. And the reason why I didn't plug it in was because I've gone through every podcast without that laptop or either of the laptops running out of battery. But I guess it just did today. So the battery just not working with us. So yeah, but we're back, and I guess we were talking about Logan Paul.
Yeah.
So
this is technically gonna be like a part 2, I guess.
Yeah, this might even be. So I guess I've had 4 episodes. So this might even be episode 6. So I might have part 2, part 1, or I'll figure it out. Cause the thing with the first 2, when I broke it up to 2 parts, it was more like I talked most in the first part, and then the guest talked most the second part. But I think in the last, or like our recording session before this one, we like equally talked.
Yeah, I think so.
But we'll see. Either I'll combine it. If we don't talk much, I'll probably combine it. But if it's another 55 minutes, then I'll likely split it. So, but yeah, I was talking about Logan Paul. And what I was saying was his morals are not great. But his work is really good, especially as a filmmaker. I wasn't like a Logan Paul fan. I guess like I never watched his vlogs. But now actually in my, I guess, film camp, I am doing like a film camp right now, kind of. With Creator Now, with this guy named Hayden Hillier-Smith. He's like the teacher, and he's like a really good YouTube editor. Like he works with Mr. Beast. He's like freelance, so he works with Mr. Beast. He used to be full time with Logan Paul, but he's ever since he's finished, or like he doesn't work with Logan Paul anymore, and he's now freelance. And he's worked on Mr. Beast videos. He worked on, for example, Sam and Colby videos, like a bunch of YouTubers that are like pretty famous. So, and he knows his stuff. But like I said earlier, he was the prime editor. Oh, pun not intended. But he was like the prime editor of, Logan Paul, and he edited with him for many, many years. And if you were to watch Logan Paul's like vlogs, especially the last one Hayden Hillier-Smith edited was the Polaroid video, so like the 99 Polaroids. And yeah, it's super cinematic. Like from that video and then before were like his work. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's basically like Netflix, or like, yeah, it's basically a film, like films. Like Logan Paul is a good filmmaker because he works with Hayden Hillier-Smith. Like, is not just like the editor, but they're both like really good. Like they both know a lot about films. So half of filming is recording, and Logan Paul did all the recording and like the storytelling and essentially the directing, while Hayden Hillier-Smith, the editor, like took all that footage and then just like made it basically films. So because of that, I've had to kind of like consume Logan Paul these days, his content, but specifically just to like learn how to make better videos. And yeah, and it's like, man, even I'm sure everyone in like the same group kind of knows, like, yeah, Logan Paul is kind of a scammy guy, like scams people. And like there's a lot of dislikes in some of Logan's videos because everybody knows like Logan isn't the most moral person ever, and he does weird things to make money, or some of his methods of making money is morally not right. But nevertheless, he's really good at just making films and marketing, and like he knows how to make a buck basically. So
yeah, I think to add on to like the whole scamming thing, I think another aspect that he's really good at is doing PR. I think he has a good PR team, but there's a lot of like things that he's able to sweep under the rug until like eventually just bursts. Like with CryptoZoo, the reason why not many people really covered it is, one, not many people really knew too much about it, and two, he sort of covered it up with that 99 Polaroids thing. I can't pronounce it for some reason. I can't speak. But he was able to like sweep his previous project under the rug because he made a new project, and that one was semi-successful. I think he's able to cover up things because he is involved with or has like a better project behind it, and people will like with the current climate of online activity and online people like being online, a lot of their attention spans tend to be really short. Or like if there's a controversy, what week one, and it doesn't continue to week two, by week three it's basically a dead controversy, and no one really cares about it. But I believe Logan Paul is able to capitalize on that pretty well and understand that he's able to create new projects that will captivate other people and distract them from previous mistakes that he's done, or previous scams, or previous problems that people have now forgotten about. I remember a while back people were praising him because he had like a huge redemption arc essentially with his rebranding from vlogging to podcasting, and his sort of shift in tone to more serious, more educated tone. But after CryptoZoo, after George Jankos, who used to be one of his co-hosts until he was like offended way too many times for his belief in religion. If where I was going, but oh yeah, after all of that, he's now back to being seen as a villain essentially, or being seen as somebody you can't trust in the online online sphere. Of course, there'll be people who still believe in him, still believe that his words are smart or his words will help them. But I think the main consensus between a lot of people online and just people who are new to the online sphere is that he is still the scummy person from back from 2018, 2016, and he is more focused on getting a bag and maintaining a bag rather than focusing on creating something good for his fans, his audience, the people who put him on a pedestal and basically worship him.
Yeah, I do remember the George Janko fiasco, and I actually happened to just like I don't consistently watch Impulsive, but because Bobby Lee was on the episode where essentially George was at his like broke, I guess, or George was at the breaking point, like the final straw of George. I happened to just watch that episode because Bobby Lee was on it, and I like Bobby Lee. I guess I didn't watch him for what he became famous for, which was Mad TV, but I watched him on JK News, and he's just a funny dude. He's a comedian, and he's literally like in his 50s, but he's just super funny. So I really like to watch him. So I just listened to that podcast, and yeah, and I witnessed that whole George running away thing. And I mean, it wasn't Bobby's fault. I honestly thought Bobby was just being a comedian. He was hilarious. But then, Bobby did seem to feel bad because he thought it was his fault, but it wasn't. I'm pretty sure he was just being a comedian, and it was essentially Logan's and Mike, which is I guess the other co-host. It was essentially their fault.
I think I would place it on Logan and Mike because this is not the first instance that they've made fun of his religion, but I think because it's been repeated over and over and over again, Bobby Lee just coming in and saying a joke about his religion made him feel terrible on the podcast and not welcome, where it was just between his friends before, but now it was it was also the guests coming in and making fun of his religion. And I guess that's my interpretation of the events. It's sort of like a lead up to like the final breaking point. So wouldn't place it on Bobby Lee as well, but at the same time, I feel it's more like it definitely is more on Logan, who should be the host, and he should have his friends back more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, Impulsive is still a pretty famous podcast. Like, the relevancy didn't really go down. If anything, it went even higher ever since that that drama, I guess. Like anything, kind of like I guess Keemstar. It's kind of like a cockroach, you can't really get rid of him. He's always there, no matter how bad the controversy. Filming a dead body, like, it's just, I guess, yeah, just some internet personalities just work like that, I guess, where I guess ultimately you can't. I heard the advice of, like, you can really only cancel yourself. Like, if you, like, yeah, eventually people just forget, unless it's really bad, I guess, unless you're like, EDP or something, and you do something really, really bad.
Thing is that EDP is still, like,
yeah,
alive.
even EDP is still,
like,
yeah,
he's
around.
been coming back as, like, I think he's on TikTok now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's, like, very popular. I think he came out with...
Oh, he made an apology video?
No, I think he came out, like, 2 or 3. 3 apology videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think one was the AI Obama one.
Oh.
And then he made, like, a semi-apology where he wasn't apologizing for the whole incident, and then he made one where he did apologize for it, but it was because it was affecting his family and his friends, and he walked back that last, like, all of it recently.
Right. I remember that EDP apology where he was, like, looking at camera. He's like, "Man, I'm sorry for getting that cupcake," right? But then people in the comments were like, "You know what? At least it's better than that one other apology video with that girl who was playing the ukulele. I forgot her name. Yeah, they're like, at least this is more sincere than, it came out around the time the Colleen one, and I didn't really know that drama either. I just saw the memes, so.
Yeah. I mean, I could catch you up with them because I, like,
the
called
Colleen?
it. Yeah. So with Colleen, it was weird DMs with it's weird interactions with minors, essentially.
What?
Yeah, so there was one clip where I'm not too sure if you're gonna put it up on, like, the podcast.
Maybe.
I feel like it might be a little bit inappropriate, but there was this girl who was, like, it was, like, at a show for Colleen, right? And the girl was chosen from the audience, and Colleen made her, like, lay down, put her legs up, and then for the whole joke, she just, like, spread her legs open.
Oh, like live or
in person?
Oh, okay, in person.
Yeah.
Oh, for a video, or
no, for, like, a show.
Yeah, for a show.
Yeah, I think I forgot everything else, but it was, like, weirdly, like, sexual, like,
okay.
her, like,
Oh,
gestures,
so, okay.
but she was, like, trying to make it, like, comedic as well.
Oh.
And it made the girl, I think she was, like, 16 and below. I forgot the age, but it made her the victim feel humiliated and just embarrassed at the entire situation. The second part was that she had basically a DM group. I don't know if it was on, like, WhatsApp, Telegram, or, like, just regular iMessage, but she had, like, a group for some of her fans, and they were, like, pretty young, and she would post, like, very emotional stuff that was going on in her life. And I think at one point she posted, like, Trisha Paytas's OnlyFans, like, pictures from her OnlyFans to a text message group full of, like, minors.
Oh.
So yeah, there was that. I think the third one was that she did blackface at, like, a show.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I think that came out after the ukulele.
Oh,
video.
what? After?
After.
What?
Yeah, I think there were some like after some like leaks that came out afterwards, but the main two for that video was that the girl and the leaked DMs essentially.
Oh, okay.
I think I don't think anyone really talked about it until like later on, where people were like looking into her videos and they were just like, why did we let like kids watch this? This is weirdly sexual towards kids, weirdly sexual content, and like it's just not appropriate for kids. And this was like a creator featured by YouTube essentially.
Right, she was Miranda Sings.
Yeah.
I guess she's not. Wait, is she still doing the Miranda Sings bits or?
I don't know. I think she's like gone. Like
done.
PR,
Yeah.
her PR team is like basically like dead because of her ukulele video. I don't think she has a Netflix deal anymore because everything coming out, and yeah, I don't think like getting out from YouTube is a possibility for her. I think she'll have, if she ever comes back, if she does, she'll still have like an audience because she'll be able to like as you said before, you can't really cancel anyone other than yourself. So if she ever does come back, then she might have an audience, but I don't think it'll be as strong or as she won't be as prevalent as previous years.
Right. I just remember the I Dare You episode with Nikki Higa, and like she played I Dare You with Nikki Higa, and she was like Miranda Sings, and then I also remember she also like she had a kid, I think. It's like she was like pregnant at some point, and she had a kid or something, and other than that, I don't really know anything anymore about the whole Colleen person.
I think she was in YouTube Rewind, but that's all I know about her.
Right. Yeah, I mean that kind of drama just passed over my head. I saw the Meat Canyon video on the ukulele, and it was funny, but I was just like, I've been on YouTube I've been on YouTube for like over a decade. And it's like, YouTube drama doesn't hit as much, like it doesn't hit as hard anymore. Like in 2016, it was popping, dude. YouTube drama, man, it was so like it was very juicy, man. 2016, super juicy, but now it's like, it's the same old YouTube drama.
I feel like it's because 2016 was like very dramatized, I guess. There was like a lot of like
commentary YouTubers.
Yeah, but I think you had like diss tracks, you had people beef, like large creators beefing essentially, and I think like it was like a lot of like fake beefs essentially, like between KSI and Sidemen. I remember that one was pretty much fake. I remember I forgot who it was, but I think it was Rice Gum plus someone. They had like a fight in like an elevator or something, and then it came out that they.
Like, Fusi 2.
Yeah.
And it was completely staged.
Yeah, it was completely staged. But I do have something about Fusi 2 that happened recently. But a lot of those like beefs were basically fake. They were played up, and they were essentially just trying to exacerbate and get more attention for everyone, and it definitely worked, and it was really like flashy, I guess. It flashy like works for that scenario. But yeah, I mean that's the drama. Then the dramas now are like this person's a pedophile, or this person SA'd someone, or inappropriately talking to like people. It's more serious than it is like friendly banter between two creators.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I haven't been really following YouTube drama in general. I guess Keemstar was like, I don't know if he's still a thing, but I was subscribed to like back in the day like Drama Lure and Scarce.
Yeah, I think Keemstar is now on Snapchat because he has a Snapchat deal.
Oh, okay.
I remember there was this video of like this guy going through like David Dobrik, and what he's been up to ever since he's been canceled. The dude is thriving on like Snapchat because Snapchat I think pays per post, and like David Dobrik posts like 200 times before like a party. And he goes to like 5 parties a day.
Oh.
So he makes like $1 billion essentially by just like posting. Like somebody would do a flip, right? Like backflip. He would have like 10 photos of that and just post it on Snapchat. But yeah, Keemstar's on Snapchat because the money is there, and I think he has like some organizations with like boxing, but he's still alive. He's still a cockroach. And yeah.
I'm surprised Snapchat's still a thing. Surprised that I guess it's still like generates enough income to sign creators with the Snapchat deals.
Yeah, I remember looking at their analytics, and like they make money, but like their ROI is just trash. It's like going down. Like it's more than they're making, and it's not really smart. I guess they have like they're paying too much for people, especially as David Dobrik. David Dobrik's like overpaid.
Yeah, I remember Snapchat was pretty big in 2016, 2017-ish, around that era. Nowadays, like even when I go on Snapchat, I still use Snapchat for filming because it can zoom in really far, and also the front-facing camera can zoom in too. And actually, a lot of my Coatedinacid clips, maybe like 90% of them, are filmed with Snapchat. And yeah, and it just generates a lot of views. But if I want to film a cat or something, or take a photo of a cat that's like far away, then I'd use Snapchat. But even the people I've added, only like 4 or 5 people at a time post on their story now. But back in the day, like 2016, 2017, everybody was posting on the story. And it's as famous as I guess Instagram is now. It was back then. And yeah, and I remember it was like popping. I remember the freaking Uganda Knuckles thing. That was like around that time. It was like popping, and everyone did streaks, and yeah, and I did use Snapchat quite a lot, especially in college, my freshman year.
I think now the audience from Snapchat has gone towards TikTok, because I feel like everyone now uses TikTok, and there's more features on TikTok that makes it more enjoyable for the user, but also more addictive. Like with your For You page, it's really like it's heavy with its algorithm, and it'll give you content that will make you want to stay on TikTok longer. Whereas if you look at Snapchat and you look at like basically just like other not your friends, but like that little like area where it's just like basically tabloids or like famous people. It's like those stories. Those are not like catered towards you. Fun fact about TikTok is that I got TikTok recently, and I decided, you know what? I know the algorithm here is very rigorous, so I decided, fuck it, we're gonna see how bad it could get. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. Let me pull up my TikTok, but.
I personally don't consume TikTok. Yeah, I just post on it, and that's basically I just post on it.
Yeah. For me, I decided to make it a meme. I don't understand anything on my TikTok. It's all Chinese.
I'm gonna scroll.
I made it all Chinese and Ethiopian. I think it's all scams, but I don't understand any of it.
Wow. Chrees, when he's secretly a polyglot and he knows Chinese and Ethiopian?
Nah. Dude, my plan with my TikTok is that once World War III starts, because of all of the like absurd things that's going on in the world, we have like aliens now. We have
I heard.
Bees. We have Ukraine versus Russia. I'm just gonna go to like the closest FBI agent I know and just show, hey, look at this funny meme, and just get sent to the gulag.
Okay. FBI agent. Yeah, the aliens thing. I saw most critical video on the aliens thing. And I was like, oh wow, and I just continued my life. I was like, oh, aliens, and then I don't really care. Like, you know, we there's plenty of movies on it, and I'm like, cool. But then the chances of the aliens making contact with us, I feel like that's a different story. Like if it directly affects us, I think that's a different story. But they exist, okay. But that's not gonna change, you know. I don't know, I'm just gonna keep making videos, you know. I'm not gonna be like, wow. But
I'm super confused with, cause I think with that Moist Critical video, he was talking about like not like a lawsuit, but like a Supreme Court hearing with like some high military guy, and one of the main things that I questioned was the use of alien, because I know like like alien people think it's like extraterrestrial. I didn't watch it yet, but sometimes people use alien as like foreign countries, and I maybe like I'm not too sure if this guy was mistaking like the word alien for like other countries, and like alien technology meaning alien like foreign countries technologies that we like can't compete with right now, or we don't know anything about. But it's really fishy, because also the thing with that like hearing is that the guy talking got basically signed off from like the government to speak about like aliens, and that's a little bit fishy for me.
right. Apparently he had like whistleblower rights or something like that, where he, although it is kind of classified stuff, he had like an exception where he could talk about that stuff, or he could talk about some of it or something like that.
Yeah, no, but like okay, whistleblower status that's like fine, but it wasn't like whistleblower status. It was like the government, like he told like the government like the government like approved of what he said. It wasn't whistleblower status sort of deal. It was weird, and I just don't understand like what's happening. Like why is the government like involved with this whole thing, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about that specific topic about aliens. I just know. I actually watched Asteroid City, and that was like, I guess that was a movie about an alien, or aliens in general. And it was kind of a weird film, I guess. It was definitely unconventional. It was a very unconventional film. It was very unique. So, but yeah, that's the only thing I know about aliens. It's just films and yeah, that news recently.
So, what's your stance on aliens?
My stance?
Yeah, like, do you believe aliens exist? Do you believe that they're on Earth, or do you believe that they're probably like somewhere else in the world, or do you believe that they just don't exist?
Well, this universe is pretty big, so I'm sure it exists. I'm sure another form of life exists, but maybe many, many, many light years away, maybe light centuries away, light millennia away. But I'm sure aliens exist. But in our lifetimes, are we going to come into contact with them? I doubt it. So that's what I think.
Okay, I do have sort of the same feelings, and for me, I just don't know like what stage of like evolution they would be in, or like what stage of like intellect they would be in. Are they like far advanced from us? Are they like basically amoebas? Like we don't know yet, and I guess a lot of the alien things that are like going around right now, I don't really trust it, and it just feels like some of it just feels weird for me.
Yeah. I'm sure. Well, I guess they have to fall under our laws of physics as well. So, water, like how we find life outside of Earth, we would have to find water. So, right, it's not quite like alternate universe where they're completely different life forms. It's just like I'm sure they also follow like same laws of physics. I'm sure they have like their own Goldilocks zone, like where it's like they're a good distance away from like a heat source, or like a giant star that's like heating up, I guess, the area. But yeah, I mean, for now, it's just us and this Earth, and there's plenty of, just things to worry about here. So I'm not too concerned about extraterrestrial. There's, there's alien. I guess the definition of aliens. There's the alternative definition of aliens is,
Like foreign countries.
yeah, foreigners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's kind of its own topic, just politics. Like, oh, what do you think about illegal aliens? I don't know, man. Just, I guess we're technically all immigrants, technically, because the Native Americans were here first, and then the English people came, kicked them out, and then
Everyone else came in, like Africans,
yeah,
Asians, Russians.
yeah, exactly. So my stance on extraterrestrial aliens, they probably exist, but illegal aliens, I don't know. Again, I mean, I guess if people illegally come into the country, I guess morally that's not right, I guess, but at the same time, it's like, who cares? Like, oh, the people taking our jobs, like, whatever, like the job is there, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting your job taken by by an immigrant, like not like a regular immigrant, but like somebody like from like the border, I guess, and like your job is being taken because of them, it sort of speaks towards you, I guess, because they don't have any qualifications, right? They don't have a they don't have like experience. They don't have like references to like tell people like, hey, this person's trustworthy. Meanwhile, this person, like you, like the person that is complaining about like having their job stolen, I mean, you technically have experience, I would assume, and just and I guess if that was your job, and it got taken by an illegal immigrant, that just means you're less qualified as a worker than that illegal immigrant. That's my stance on it.
Yeah. Especially like our generation, we grew up in America versus like previous generations who were the people that immigrated here to America. So there's like a generational difference. So as time goes on, as the next generation grows up too, that kind of, I guess, topic of like immigrants will be less and less of an issue, although there will always be people immigrating in here. But yeah, more as time goes on, everyone's soon going to be like American born, or like majority of population will be American born, and then that'll be its own, that'll come with its own issues, So yeah, people being born here. I was born in LA, raised basically my entire life in SoCal. Never really went anywhere else. Never lived anywhere else besides SoCal. So I'm just like used to the Southern California life, even, because Southern California is different than Northern California, and California is a very different state with other states in the 49 states in the U.S. So yeah, it is. California is its own bubble. So
if you had to move out of SoCal, where would you go?
I really don't know. I would have to really go see first. Like, the only places I went outside of California were New York, and then technically Las Vegas, Nevada, and Arizona. But I don't really remember Arizona and Las Vegas, or like Arizona and Nevada. Like, I don't really remember those experiences because I was so young. But I do remember New York and New York City especially. And like, I probably wouldn't move there. But yeah, I'd be down to visit like Texas or Colorado even. A lot of what I do know about those other states are because of video games. Like the Life is Strange True Colors game is based in Colorado and is very naturey. Texas, some YouTubers live there, like Ryan Trahan is from Texas. I guess Oregon, Nick Simmons is from Oregon, Eugene, Oregon. So Washington, like Seattle is there. I don't really know much about Seattle though, but yeah, I guess ideally I would want to see every single state, but then again, I guess one city per state doesn't really represent the entire state, but I guess it's better than nothing.
Yeah, plus I don't think you should go to like the capitals of every single state because those are gonna be like the highly dense places, highly populated places, and you're gonna see like basically, I guess of the best and the worst of the worst. I guess to like uh of each city if you go to like the capital. Uh, I think for me, I'm just looking more for like the weather and like uh yeah, for me it's just like the weather. I prefer like if it's like not too hot, not too cold. I know like that's like the perfect like no location will be like perfect, but like I don't want to deal with like snow, but I also don't want to deal with like heat waves as well.
Right. Like it's pretty. I grew up in Southern California, and I know the weather here. Well, we're both familiar with the weather here, and it gets pretty hot here. Um, I guess
But not as hot as like
yeah,
Nevada or like Arizona,
Arizona,
where
yeah,
like you could
it's
cook.
really hot.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could cook like uh, eggs on like the sewer uh, like
yeah,
pipe holding. Your car like melts if you leave it outside.
yeah. It's. I mean, sometimes it gets to that point. Like the hottest I felt was, well, I guess we both felt because we, but the hottest I felt was it was 117 degrees Fahrenheit. I remember in high school, it was like my freshman year of high school, like 2016, and it was like, it just felt like an oven. So even anything above like 95, 98 ish, like anything above like high 90s, it just feels like you're in a hair dryer is being blown on your face the whole time.
Yeah,
So
I think I remember in elementary school, like the temperatures were like 100 or like 100, like between 100 to 120, and we had to like that was during like noon, and we'd have to eat lunch outside. So I remember like it just being like you were in like class, it's like AC, you walk outside to get ready for lunch, and you get hit by like a wave of like hot air, essentially.
right. Although Death Valley, which is the hottest place I think in the world, right?
I think so.
Death Valley, the hottest place in the world. It's like it can get up to like 130 there. And I actually read in the Born to Run book, there's an ultra marathon race there. I believe it's called Badwater, or that might be a different thing.
I
But
think that's like a TF2 map.
oh really?
Yeah, I think Bad War is a TF2 map. I could
Yeah,
be wrong.
it's like 100-mile race, and then yeah, and you're running in 120-degree heat, and I'm like, wow. Like David Goggins, who's ran it before, he lives, I think somewhere in the East Coast ish, so he has to wear like to train to run there. He had to wear like what's it called, the sauna suit.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
plastic bag.
yeah, and he had to build his heat tolerance through there. So and yeah, like running, even when I run in even 80-degree weather, I sweat like crazy. So and in the book it talks about like, oh, you run out of water so quickly. They dunk themselves with ice water, and then once they get out of that, like a few seconds later, they're already hot again. And it's like, wow, that's pretty crazy. But I think probably the ideal best weather probably in this entire earth would be like the beaches, West Coast beaches, I guess. So like here, but the beaches.
I think
So
that's mainly because of like uh, wind blowing from the sea.
right, and there's also no snow here, and in the summertime it's not really humid. It's just more dry. So, I mean, I guess my family decided to move here. My dad grew up in NorCal, and he decided to move down here. My mom came from Korea. She decided also to be in LA. So I just happened to be, by luck, just to be a SoCal person. Um, but, I went to New York, and we went during the summer. It was super humid. It felt like a lotion of heat was on you all the time, and it's just like a not pleasant feeling, even though it was only like 85 degrees maybe.
Yeah, I think I felt that in the Philippines. It's worse in the Philippines though, because like you're surrounded by like mosquitoes everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like because of like the rains. Like with the Philippines, it's really humid because there's like a lot of rains, and also it's really hot at the same time. So it's humid and hot, so it just feels a lot hotter than it should be. Like it'll be like 85 to 90. I'll feel like 100, just because
Yeah.
like humidity.
Yeah, and I guess that's more like east, because like the east coast of the U.S. is like that, and I guess East Asia is also like that. Like in Korea, I didn't go. I went during the spring, and the weather was actually great. But I heard the summertime is the same thing, where it's like very humid and it rains a lot. It's just like rainy season. So I'm not sure if I would ever move outside of the U.S. Like even internationally. I know some like YouTubers have done that where they move internationally. Like PewDiePie went to Japan, but also like Kevin Lashawn, one of like the OG YouTubers actually. He also moved to Japan. So and I'm sure it's a much bigger process to move internationally. But I would ideally move if I had to. I'd ideally move to like a English speaking um, place, like maybe maybe England or something. Who knows? Australia even. Who knows?
I feel like UK. I don't think for me, I would like going to UK simply because I know that like prices there are like going like pretty badly, right? Ever since Brexit, but also they have like a housing problem because they don't have like a lot of space for like houses, so everyone's like trying to like, get a house there, but there's just not enough houses. So you have like situations where you have basically your entire house in a apartment-sized bathroom, essentially.
I mean, it sounds like New York City, or it
Yeah.
sounds like some cities here in America. Korea is kind of like that too, where actually everything it's either rural or urban. There's not really suburban areas because all most of the residences are just tall apartment buildings, like super tall apartment buildings. So, and I guess that's just what happens when you don't have much space. You just have to build up rather than horizontally. Where here in SoCal, especially, it's very horizontally. Yeah, you need a car to get everywhere. But in Korea or in New York City, take a if you need to take transportation, you either take a taxi or the train, or you just walk. So yeah, that's just I heard China has a bad housing crisis too.
Yeah, I remember watching this one video of there's this little province in Hong Kong. It's not like owned by Hong Kong, and it's not owned by China. It's like its own mini country, but it's like basically a city block inside of Hong Kong. And that city block, there's basically zero like regulations, and there's like a bunch of like foreign, like not foreigners, but like refugees who live there essentially. So because there's no like building regulations, there's no one to like actually like go through, make sure everything's healthy or everything's safe. People just built, and they basically made a huge city as a building, and it's like apartments here, apartments there, and stores everywhere. But it's basically like think of like a claustrophobic like collection of boxes, and there's like tunnels everywhere. Essentially, those are like the pathways for people to like walk to their houses, go get water, or like get food, all that stuff. All in like, and this is like a city of like 50,000 people in like basically like a mall-sized area.
All right.
They all live there. They all work there. They all get money. Well, they all get the water from there. I believe there's also like crime, like groups that work there, like transporting cocaine and stuff like that. And I think a lot of them, a lot of their stuff that they have to like get like water and electricity, they sort of have to siphon from like Hong Kong. Like they have like little attachments, or like they basically jury rig like various like transmission lines or like water pipes to like get like water and stuff like that. The place is like very dirty, and like if you live there for like a week, you're probably gonna get like a virus or like some sort of like disease, I guess. But like people live there, and it's like 5,000 people in like one small area.
All right. Would you ever go back to the Philippines, Chris?
For a vacation, yeah, but I don't think I would live there.
Do you? I guess. I guess you're not exactly planning to like vacation there like or very soon, right? Just like.
I kind of want to, but at the same time, like I know my schedule, it's not gonna be as free as I would be. So I don't think like anytime soon is a possibility. I think after like grad school, maybe I could, but right now I'm not looking to like go to the Philippines.
When was the last time you went?
I think high school.
Do you remember like what it was like being there in the Philippines?
I mean, I went to my my grandma's house, which is in a province, but in like the main areas like Manila or I mean that's the only major. I think Corazon. It was I forgot the other name of the other place I know, but in like the major cities, I wouldn't really know it. But like in like the more like rural areas, I'm a little bit more familiar. But I mean, I wouldn't say that like I'm like an expert in like Filipino tradition or like the culture there.
Right. Wait, so early high school or like freshman,
Yeah,
sophomore?
I think it was like a summer or a winter when they went back. But I think it was like freshman or sophomore.
Oh, okay. And like you're not fluent in Tagalog either, or
Nope, I'm not.
I've actually never heard you speak Tagalog ever.
The only ones I do know are like food.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
To like order at like some of the
Oh
places
really?
I like. Yeah.
You can actually order in Tagalog?
Not like order, but like
Oh
say
okay.
like the name of the food I like.
Oh.
Like tonsilog, gongsilog.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Do your parents speak Tagalog?
Yeah, they do, but they can't really speak it to me just because I don't understand what they're saying.
Does your sister speak it?
No, but she could hear it.
Oh, okay. She can like understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess there's no like Tagalog classes. Maybe in college, but like, in high school you're not gonna be like, oh, I'm taking Tagalog, right? Or, maybe in college.
Not
But
really. Like I looked at my college catalog in Pomona. They didn't have Tagalog.
really,
Yeah, the closest language that they had was Spanish. I mean, I took Spanish in
high school.
high school, but like in high school, I learned the best way to do Spanish is to look at Google Translate.
Yeah, that's
Google
facts.
Translate carried me through AP Spanish.
Oh, you took AP Spanish?
Yeah, I took AP Spanish.
Did you take the AP test?
No, I did not. I
Oh,
knew
okay.
that I was so bad at Spanish that like if I took the AP test, it will be like a one, essentially. So I said no, and I just didn't take the AP test. I took the class. I was just like, you know what? If I do 4 years of of Spanish, it technically equates to essentially having the AP test on like your high school transcript. The AP test for Spanish, I think what that translated to in high school was basically having like a stamp uh, on your resume saying like, hey, you're bilingual, but you can also achieve that by going to like Spanish 4 or having 4 years of Spanish.
Oh, I remember that. I mean, yeah, I think I was like, oh, you can put it on your college resume, and I was like, nah, I'm just not gonna take. I didn't take AP Spanish, so I was like, nah. I think I was similar boat. I was like Spanish 3 was fun, or like I had a pretty good teacher, but I was like, I don't think I need to do another year of Spanish. Like the whole like UCs only require you to take 3 anyways, 3 years. So I'm like, yeah, I just decided to take one less class, I guess, in senior year of my high school. And yeah, I agree. The Google Translate is pretty good. I guess like Spanish is like a pretty close language to English, or especially in America. It's like It's probably the second most spoken language in America. So I guess Google Translate is just really good when it comes to Spanish.
Yeah, I think there's not as like the rules. There are like a lot of rules in Spanish, right? But I don't think it's as complicated as like um, other languages, and I feel like certain like words, like if you have like certain words in like a series, it won't translate out to like something too far off. Whereas in like other languages, if you had like one character wrong, it would mess up the entire sentence.
Right. And it is another Latin-based language, like as compared to English, versus like for example, Korean is, I guess yeah, it's its own like alphabet, it's its own like stuff. Apparently though, it's like a really, like linguists really like treasure that language because, like the whole lore behind it was, this guy named King Sejong. He ordered like, a group of scholars to literally create the language of Korean. And before we were using like Chinese characters, and we would just use it to write, but then we couldn't really read it. But we were just borrowing Chinese, or Korean people were borrowing Chinese like letters, and they're like, okay, this is whack. We got to make our own language. And apparently, everything's like really good, as a language. But like I can understand, maybe on average like 10 or 20% of like the Korean language I hear. Then I know like common phrases and stuff, but I'm pretty far from fluent, I'd say, from Korean. Like I wouldn't really speak it. Maybe like, again, maybe like a phrase or something, or just like one word at a time. And both my parents speak it too. My sister took like 2 or 3 years, of Korean in college, so she can speak it. I wouldn't say she's like super fluent, but she knows it pretty well. But yeah, I guess I just only speak one language. Yeah, English, and a lot of people speak English. It's the most common second language too. Like especially YouTubers, like, on YouTube, there's a lot of, like people that are ethnically like, or they have a native language, but they speak English and they make videos in English.
Yeah, I think I forgot what the term was called, but I remember reading this in AP History or AP World History, but I think there's a term where people like decided that a certain language would be like a universal language for a trade essentially. And I think I don't know if it was actually English, but it was like an English. Well, I think it was English, but I think English was selected as that language to be used for common like trades between different countries.
Yeah, I guess even when I went to Korea, there was some signs of like businesses that had English words, and I was really surprised. And there were areas where like, oh, most people can only speak Korean, but like English, especially in Seoul, was like there was a lot of English speakers.
Well, I mean, I think it's because Seoul is like a huge city, and it's like a very popular city in Korea, right? And because of that, that city draws in more tourists, and more tourists are gonna spend time in Seoul, and to get like businesses, well, for businesses to get tourists to come in, they would probably need like English to like help the people like come in, get accustomed, and figure out like what they want at their store. If like if a foreign tourist comes in to like a Korean shop and nothing's in like their language that they could speak or like read in, it's gonna be like hard for them, and they're probably not gonna buy anything. So I think that's why like in Seoul specifically, there's a lot of like, English. But I feel like if it's like in like a different city, or like if it's like in a smaller city, or even like in rural areas, you're not gonna find like English there.
Yeah, that's true. Like I know Japan also has like a strong American influence there because like tourism industry is pretty high there.
And then there's a lot of like people who want to go there. I know like some YouTubers like Doug I believe is there, and PewDiePie is over there. But yeah, a lot of people are like traveling and going there to live essentially.
Yeah, I remember in A Push, like we learned about World War II, and like we won World War II, but I remember the teacher, his name was Mr. Nicholson. He was like, "Oh, if Germany won World War II, we would all probably be speaking German right now." So and yeah, that's crazy. Like because we won, a huge war, like America influenced, and I guess the primary language of America is English, or the most spoken language is English, and because of that, we're like basically the whole world, like as a second language, like they learn English. So, but yeah, it could have been German technically if they won World War II. But yeah, I guess it's convenient for us English speakers because then we can. It's probably the most used spoken language probably in the world, I guess, aside from Mandarin. But that's more like in China, and like Indian languages. But that's more like in India.
I think it's actually Spanish or something.
Oh really?
Spanish is like either number two or number one.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. There's a lot of countries that speak Spanish actually. So like yeah, Spain, like their language is Spanish, and yeah, English and Spanish, just very a lot of speakers, and yeah, it's convenient for us because yeah, I guess other people have to learn English, and we can probably get by our whole lives without speaking another language or learning how to speak another language. So
I think the French force you to have your native language be French.
oh really?
Yeah, because I think they're like pretty proud that of like their language, and like I forgot if it was because like the reasoning because of it, but I know they're proud of their language and they want to force their the newer generations to speak French as well, not just like English for like everything. So they make it mandatory.
Yeah, I mean America technically doesn't have an official language, but I guess
It's
English.
English.
Yeah, it's English.
Yes.
And then same thing with like religion. Like we don't really have an official religion, but it's Christianity. Yeah, so yeah, I guess it makes sense with most countries. Like there is going to be a dominant language. There is going to be dominant religion, or yeah, I guess English. I heard in India there's like over 1,000 languages in India, while in China also the same case, but then Mandarin is most spoken. So
I know in the Philippines there's at least two.
yeah, I heard there's a lot of languages.
There's a lot of languages, but the main ones I do know it's because my parents are from like the province, so they know Tagalog and they know Ilocano.
Mm.
Those two are basically like almost the same, just like a few key differences between like each one. I'm guessing like sort of like the thousand languages in India, they're like variations essentially, where like one is like the official one, right? That's one like in like cities and all that stuff, but in like different like areas or like different rural areas, it's like spin-offs of those, where it's like more slang or like different forms of slang here and there. And then you also have like the I believe in India there's also like Muslim, so there will be like Arabic, and then there will be like also like break-offs, so it's like Arabic.
Yeah, some languages are so similar that even though they're different, like people that speak the languages can still understand each other. Like apparently Hindi and Urdu are very very similar languages, and like they can understand, a Hindi speaker and an Urdu speaker can understand each other even though they're different languages. But then there's the other case where it's like Mandarin and, for example, Cantonese, like they can't understand anything, like they're completely different languages. Like I remember in my junior year of college, or not college, junior year of high school, I was in my physics class, and there was like a physics demonstration of these like Chinese guys, and then they were speaking Chinese, but then it was Cantonese. So like I remember looking at my Chinese friend, and he was like, I don't know what they're saying, dude. It's all Cantonese. So yeah, that's just how some languages work, I guess.
Yeah, it's also because of like I guess regional areas and like uh I guess social uh impacts. I remember in freshman year of college, I took a human geography class, and we sort of explored how like certain religions came to be, and how certain factors made like certain rules. I guess that could also apply to like languages, like certain rules or like certain uh, differences from the main language occurred because of those like conditions.
Yeah. But I guess yeah, all I can do is speak English. I do respect other people that can speak multiple languages though. Like it's not easy to learn another language.
And it's not easy to like not like translate, but like swap between the two. Because sometimes you'll be like speaking in like English, and all of a sudden you're speaking in like your native language because you are more familiar with that.
Right. Some people grow up speaking multiple languages, and it's like easy for them because they grew up with it. But learning it like nowadays, especially or like later in life, like that takes like real work. And then not only that, you would have to maintain the language too. Like it's pretty easy to forget a language if you don't use it. So like Spanish, like I'm pretty sure my my junior year self of high school, junior year of high school self could beat me in Spanish right now. But my Spanish wasn't even that good then. Like I wasn't really fluent then. I was just like, oh, I knew. A lot of it was writing. There's more emphasis on writing and reading versus speaking, which is the whole point of using the language. The whole point of language is to speak it. But a lot of what school emphasized was reading and writing, which is also important, and like remembering the acentos and conjugations, but ultimately speaking it is what makes a language useful. And like I have a lot of like friends that speak Spanish. Like my roommates, they spoke Spanish, except for one of them. But like Carlos and Andrew, not Andrew, Carlos and Oscar, they spoke Spanish. But Oscar, I think I heard Oscar speak it the most, but like only with his family. And Carlos, I think when he calls his parents on his phone, I think he speaks Spanish. But yeah, so Spanish is, I forgot a lot of Spanish. Although I think if I were to hear Spanish, I could probably pick up some words like, oh, like taco or something. I don't know. But yeah, it was like, oh, okay, he probably said this or always said that. If it's like simple Spanish, then yeah, I could probably understand it. But like otherwise speaking it, I'd be like, oh shoot, I'd have to like think. But when Google Translate exists, like you don't really like, what's the point of thinking, So that's just Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, like even in the crew, I guess Onzu's half Mexican, but he doesn't really speak Spanish that much. I'm sure he can understand it. And then Munir is actually bilingual. He can speak Arabic and English, so he's, I guess, the only bilingual person.
I think Swords is also bilingual, right?
Yeah. And then I'm not sure about Paul. I don't think Paul is fluent in Spanish, but yeah, I guess Munir's bilingual. But yeah, I think it's more common, especially among like my friend group, where it's like, I think most people only speak English, and then if they don't just speak English, then they speak two languages. I don't know if your mic might have actually stopped again. Let me see. Rendered audio was lost at the labeled locations. Possible causes. Other applications are competing. Oh no. We're back. Round 3.
Yep. Hopefully we won't have audio issues this time.
Yeah, these past 2 episodes we had audio issues, but now we learned from our mistakes. We got a different laptop, and it's plugged in, and we could see it. So if it cuts off, we'll know. I should probably point this towards us too, to see if it so we can immediately see if something went wrong. So
yeah, but we haven't had problems with that one. That was just the previous one.
Yeah, the other one, it was like small laptop. It's like the newest one that we have though, so I don't know. I've also never had issues with it before with my other 4 podcast episodes. So
but was it like crypto mining before?
Yeah.
Okay.
But episode 7, because I can't imagine putting a 3-hour episode, because working with big files, like long files, man, it's really a pain. So yeah, we're back. And we were talking about languages, but I pretty much ran out of what I was going to say anyways. So I think you were speaking, but I don't know if you remember where you last left off. We took like a 10-minute break, 15-minute break, something like that.
I mean, we could start on like new topics. I have like a few that I want to like go over.
Right. So I pretty much ran out of things to talk about, but Chrees has some topics to talk about. So I guess the floor is yours.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be more focused on me than this episode. So, I guess the first one that I want to go over was, have you heard about the superconductors? Like the superconductors at room temperature.
No.
So recently there was a breakthrough, I think a week or two ago, with like superconductors, and superconductors, they're basically just like copper, conductors. They are they are the materials that allow electricity to flow through them. So like from like transmission wires, regular wires to like your phone, all that stuff. And superconductors are that, but a lot better because uh, they don't have a resistance, meaning that they don't lose any heat, a power through heat, or just basically like any form of like loss outside of that. But recently somebody found but the problem is like with regular superconductors is that they require super low temperatures to even operate. I believe it's close to absolute zero for superconductors to even exist. So somebody recently came out with a discovery for like superconductors at room temperature, which sounded impossible, and people were looking into it and trying to like figure it out, and it was found out that it was basically fake, like a fake research. It wasn't like superconductors, it was like ferromagnetism. I think that came out like 2 days ago or a day ago, but yeah, it was like disappointing for me in my eyes because as an electrical engineer, there's like a lot of applications of this, and some of the things that could have come out from this was that like transmission lines, like from like generators or dams, they could produce electricity and send it to their customers without having any loss from sending it long distances, or solar panels being 100% efficient essentially because they don't have any losses in any of their panels, and your like your computers like will not have as much heat. Like remember when we were playing at Munir's house and we were on, I think it was COD Zombies, and we had like the PS3 on and his PC. The room got stuffy as hell. So if like superconductors were real, that would have like basically fixed that problem.
So there's just been like a new scientific breakthrough with superconductors, and they have to operate at absolute zero and everything.
No, the scientific breakthrough was that we could have it at room temperature.
Oh, rather than it normally being
at absolute zero, but it turned out to be false.
Oh, it was a hoax.
It was bad academic stuff.
Oh, okay. It was just like, well, it was technically true, or it was just completely false.
It was completely false because
okay.
They didn't discover superconductors at room temperature. They just basically rediscovered ferromagnetism, which is something that already existed.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't really a good study.
Right. Is it like the secret fifth phase of matter or something like that?
No, it's like it's like a property of a metal.
Oh, okay.
So and it sort of relates to the temperature. Like I don't remember the equation, but I remember it being basically like the inverse of the conductivity. Like if it's a higher temperature, the conductivity will be lowered, but if it's a lower temperature, the conductivity will shoot up essentially.
Oh, okay.
And then conductivity is like the inverse of resistance.
Okay, so like electrical engineering news, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I don't really know much about it, so.
Yeah, I found it like interesting, and I want to like just share it with you.
with the audience.
Yeah.
The potentially electrical engineering audience probably just would Onzu be able to understand what you're talking about?
Maybe. I don't think we went over superconductors, but we went over like power laws. I think if he hasn't taken Introduction to Power Engineering yet, he'll be introduced to that soon.
Oh, okay. So potentially Onzu or I don't know, just electrical engineers watching this podcast. Maybe in the future, maybe when Chrees like becomes famous, well-known historical figure, electrical engineer, freaking invents like a second electricity or something, and then his electrical engineer fans, watch this podcast.
I mean, I might work on like 6G eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know the differences between like 5G, 4G, 6G?
They're faster. It's like this.
Yeah.
I remember 3G was the thing, and then 4G, and then 5G.
Yeah.
And apparently it says 5G on our phone, but it's fake. It's not actually 5G, and all I know is just faster. Like that's about it.
So the G stands for generations, and I don't think it's like necessarily slightly faster, but like, well, yeah, it's actually faster, but the difference is that there's more frequency, like it's a higher frequency between each one, which means more data gets passed through. So yeah, it's technically higher speeds. It's higher speeds, higher frequencies, less distance actually, because with higher frequency, you have less
range.
Yeah, less range, and you need more power to hit those ranges.
So doesn't that just like we would just have to install a bunch of or like towers? We'd just have to install like a bunch more then, right?
Yeah, you have to like have like routers or like repeaters everywhere essentially.
So wouldn't that be like less practical than just doing like 5G or 4G?
Yes, but it depends on the application. But yeah, essentially, like if you're doing like high speed calculations or like if you're processing a lot of data and you need to send it somewhere, like say like you have like in the future we have like 1 million like P videos.
Yeah.
Where you could see like the basic atom essentially. Then you would probably need like a higher frequency speed. But also it's for like people who want like higher speeds for like connectivity, better ping essentially. But ultimately you don't really need to go too far into like 5G, like further than 5G. I guess if anything, you like what I would want to do is like trying to like figure out a way to further 5G, because you know that whole conspiracy theory about like 5G causing cancer?
Yeah.
It's actually kind of true.
Really?
Yeah. So with power, like frequencies cause with power and frequency you could knock off like electrons, right, from like transmitters. Like transmitters sending out frequencies with a high power will be able to knock off like electrons from something, and that could like cause cancer in like cells, right? The only problem with like claiming that all 5G causes cancer is that you have to be close to the transmitter and you have to be there for a long time. So I believe if you're like 2 or 3 feet away from a transmitter, I believe like the power from like the transmitter to you drops like drastically, like 60 to like 90%. So I think like you're fine like having like a 5G tower like out on the street. You can't just like live like next to it like 24/7, but receiving like having like a receiver like your phone or transmit and like receive like 5G, it's perfectly fine, but having it like stuck next to you, it's not. But also you would get cancer faster if you just sat out into like the sun for like much longer. Like that would be faster. Like that's the basic laws of like electromagnetism. Like if you remember the electromagnetic spectrum, the higher the frequency, the more likely you're gonna get like cancer, essentially. So, with 5G, you're not at risk. It's like below infrared, essentially. So, I mean, you're good for like having like 5G around you. You just can't like be next to it for like a thousand years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess like 6G won't really have a direct application to like us as like civilians, but then like maybe to like scientists or
Or like
people that need
military.
to, right, people that need to have faster internet for just whatever calculations, or like it's useful for them. But I guess for now we'll just stick with, I guess right now we have pseudo 5G, so 5G but not really. But there are some cities that do have 5G towers and it's like fast. But otherwise I think we're still technically on 4G. Like we're using 4G in
Yeah, we're still
everyday
using
life, right?
4G. 5G is getting rolled out right now, and sooner or later, like I believe the major companies. I know, I worked at Edison, right? I know Edison's working on getting their 5G up right now, but a lot of the major companies are looking to invest into 5G.
Yeah.
I think also LTE.
I don't know what that means, or like, yeah, I'm not sure what that means. Like,
I completely forgot the acronym, but I think it's like long term something.
oh, okay. So 4G LTE. All I know is like, AT&T and stuff. They're like marketing that. They're like advertising like, oh, 4G LTE. They're like, that was like a huge marketing thing back in the day.
Yeah. Weird thing is that like 4G is like all like an LTE. They're like separate things, and technically, like 4G came before LTE, right? But 4G is technically newer than LTE, like because they, so 4G released, right, and then LTE released as well, and then they updated 4G. So the updated one is now like commonplace, so it's technically newer technology than LTE.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I mean, I don't really know much about it. How many podcast topics do you have, please? Or like, how many topics did you write down?
So I guess
Because if this is just the first one, I don't know how many you have, bro. Because we're already 14 minutes in just talking about the first one. So are we gonna be here for episode 4? Who knows?
I don't know. I have like so, I have like so we had the superconductor one that was short. I have copyright and royalty for like major, like event stuff.
Yeah.
And then for I guess more personal stuff, I have like the education system, and then like your plans for the future.
Can I see?
Yeah.
Did you actually do this? Like
I did this in advance, and I got to like the very bottom of this. I was just like, I'm probably just not gonna use this. But I was like, you know what? I have topics.
You did this in preparation for my podcast?
Yeah, I did.
Let's see. Career. Well, we kind of went with that in the first episode. So your plans. Wow. Gotcha. What genre? So that's for me, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got another episode's worth, basically. Or like, yeah, we're probably gonna be talking for another hour. It's 15 minutes in. Okay, 45 more minutes. Okay, so I guess next topic, I guess. Yeah.
All right. So copyright. This is a huge thing that comes up like every year or twice a year at this point for like YouTubers and like Twitch streamers. But ever since I think 2016, 2017, when Twitch blew up, there have been a lot of like drama between like Twitch streamers and YouTubers in terms of like copyright and like reactions. So I kind of want to guess like what is your stance on it?
Copyright?
Yeah, like more of like React streamers or like React Andes.
Oh, I mean, that was a hot topic in 2017, 2016.
Yeah, I think Dark Viper AU talked about it once before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think
React YouTubers, yeah.
Yeah, he was like one of the core components, I think, either last year or 2 years ago. But he's still like prevalent in like that sort of discussion.
So there is fair use. I agree with fair use for sure. I think there is a time and place where people should react to videos, like videos made specifically for them, like oh, reacting to, I don't know, just like, I made this for KSI, I don't know, and then like the KSI reacts to that. Like that's, that's reasonable. As for people that literally just like Twitch streamers that eat their lunch and watch videos at the same time, honestly, it's kind of genius. Like they're getting paid to literally eat and just watch. I mean, I don't know who's truly at fault here would be like the viewers. I mean, like people, for some reason, people like watching, for example, Sniper Wolf. Yeah, I don't know, people just like watching react YouTubers. So if there's a market for it, so I'm not gonna hate on it, right? So I don't really care about react YouTubers. It was a hot topic back then, and now I guess it still exists. Copyright in general, I saw that one Tom Scott video, and it was actually copyright law is what's flawed, not quite the copyright system on YouTube. And because apparently like it takes a whole 100 years for like for any creative work to finally be copyright free. Like Walt Disney, apparently a few years ago, Walt Disney's first few films finally like lost the copyright, and Walt Disney died like freaking, I don't know, 80 years ago, I don't know. But like, yeah, the copyright system is flawed, but I mean, I guess we can work around it. There's licensing companies, like companies that take advantage of this, and they sell licenses for like music, even stock footage. Like, hey, pay us and you can use our database of music stock footage, so you don't have to worry about copyright. So yeah, we work around it. Law takes a long time to change. I remember Tom Scott was like, I think it was either 100 years or 50 years where the copyright I think it's 50 years where the copyright lasts on like a creative work. And Tom was like, oh, I would definitely do 20 years. Like I would argue for that, but unfortunately that's just not what we're, that's probably unrealistic these days of like trying to argue for 20-year long copyright protection. So copyright in general, I guess how I as a content creator work around it is I just use video game music, and technically that's still copyright, but video game companies don't care.
Except for like the GTA ones where they have like actual like songs from like actual artists, and the artist will DMC at you.
Yeah, like video games. I've streamed back when I was streaming. I would play video games, and then they would have like, straight up copyrighted songs on there, and then I'd get a strike. Well, I don't get it like strike, but like it would just pop up like, hey, you got a copyright little thing. So, I don't really care because I don't make money anyways. I don't make money, so ultimately none of it is my problem because I don't make money from my videos. But like if I were to, I would just again use like a licensing website like Epidemic Sound or Victor. But yeah, I just use video game music because first of all, I'm just too small of a YouTuber. I don't make money at all. There's no money. I don't have money. So even if they were to copyright strike me, they'd have no reason to, like the video game companies. And second of all, it would be weird if video game companies do copyright the music, because then nobody can play their game on YouTube. Or yeah, nobody can upload gameplay videos on YouTube. But I'm sure if Mr. Beast, for example, were to use, I use Pokemon music, I use Kirby music. I'm sure if Mr. Beast were to use, Pokemon or Kirby music, Nintendo would be like, hey, there's money there, let me take some of the cut. So Mr. Beast uses like, Epidemic Sound, like other websites that are licensing. But yeah, I think it's for the copyrighted music, it's like safe, I guess. It's more like on the safer end, even though it's still technically copyrighted, and the Nintendo or whoever the composer still has the rights to it, but it doesn't pop up on the system, the copyright system. So I guess ultimately I think they don't care for the most part. But again, I'm sure if Mr. Beast used like a Pokemon soundtrack in his videos, then yeah, he's gonna get striked because he has a lot of money, and Nintendo likes money. So yeah, that's how I work around copyright. I just use video game music. I use like GTA 5. I've used GTA 5 music before, like the OST themes. Not necessarily, like I can tell if it's like, a mainstream song, because some games use mainstream songs. It's like, for example, Life is Strange use a mainstream song. Mafia 3 uses a mainstream song. But copyright, honestly, I already know how American laws are, and like it's a pain to it's a pain to change these laws. So and there's workarounds too. So I'm not too opposed. Like, yeah, the subscription services, there's like paywalls with like, the whole licensing companies, but I just use video game music and it works for me.
All right. Now, I wanted to talk more about like specific instances that happened recently. So, I think you mentioned this before. You had Sniper Wolf, and she's beefing with Jack Films. The second one that I want to go into after that one is XQC versus Ethan Klein. So, you know Ethan Klein, right? You know XQC? Okay. Yeah, I will have to like explain those. But let's go with the Sniper Wolf first. So, you know the situation surrounding it, right? You know what, like, Jack's Films is doing, right? Right now?
Yeah. I see his stuff on my recommend all the time. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. So, do you think that that I guess people like Sniper Wolf should be crediting people more if it's like another platform, right? So Sniper Wolf, for the audience that doesn't know, she is a famous YouTuber who does a lot of reaction videos. That's her bread and butter right now. I don't think she has like any other form of content, but she basically takes TikToks from other creators and puts it in a video. And one of the main criticisms that I've heard about of Sniper Wolf is that it's not fair use, and it's not transformative enough, because all she says is "oh wow," or like "yeah," or like or basically just repeating what happens in the video. And that's what Jax Films is criticizing and trying to combat with his mini channel, which is Jax Films. And I guess, what are your opinions on Sniper Wolf's content?
I guess it's lazy content, but she's making a lot of money from it, and people are watching it. So, I mean, I can't really hate on it because, yeah, people are watching it. So, you know what Mitch Radvansky told me? He said, I remember in high school, he was like, I guess this was back when Sniper Wolf was, I think, a gaming YouTuber. But he was like, the only reason why people watch Sniper Wolf is because she's hot. And then I also noticed that Mitch himself too was subscribed to Sniper Wolf as well. So I was like, oh, okay. And then, yeah, guess what? Now these days she's, I guess the most transformative part of her doing the React content is her face, or her upper
just her
body.
presence.
Yeah. So I guess Mitch was right, man. So, I mean, honestly,
she's appealing more towards kids right now, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean,
because I think kids are like they really like short form content, and like I've noticed this with like newer media that sort of like pops off, like with Nimona. It's like a lot of like fast paced like products, right? Or like fast paced movies, episodes, or like something that will keep you like occupied for the entirety of like the movie, where like previous like forms of entertainment, they let you like reminisce on like something, or like something, they let something like brew for you.
Yeah, I don't know. Sniper Wolf, she's probably a millionaire, so I don't know. Jax Films, though, honestly, I like what he's doing. I think without Sniper Wolf, we wouldn't have had the Jax Films criticism. So honestly, I'm not really complaining. It's kind of like because of the memes, basically. Like, a lot of bad things can happen, but because of the memes almost make it worth it. It's kind of like the same effect. Like, Jax Films almost kind of makes it worth it.
Yeah. So, I do also enjoy Jax Films. I've seen like a few of them. I enjoyed it, and I think he adds more to the content than what Sniper Wolf does. But I want to now talk about XQC and Ethan, because I mean, between Sniper Wolf and Jax Films, they didn't have like a direct confrontation outside of like Twitter, but like this one was an actual like live debate, and I want to get your opinion on this. So, Ethan Klein, like, he prepared for this, right? He brought analytics. He got examples from like other creators like Vince Vintage, who complained about XQC reacting to his video, and XQC came in with basically what felt like zero preparation, and all he did was like, and I wish I had clips prepared, but yeah, I'm not gonna find the clips, but
So he was trying. So XQC was trying to like defend like his.
his reactions, right?
Oh, okay.
Whether it's being like leaving and just letting a video run, basically, I remember there was one part from Ethan's video where all XQC did was add 20 seconds of commentary to the entire video, and I believe, what's the other one? It was, I forgot what the other one was, but basically he was just trying to defend himself from like Ethan, and like him saying like he is basically just stealing content from other people. And I want to know how you would feel if the response to all this criticism was A, doing the worm on camera, and B, flexing your watch to the other person.
Doing the worm on camera?
Doing the worm on camera. Like getting on the floor and doing the worm.
So the XQC bit? Wait, can you repeat that question? Can you?
So,
yeah.
So the criticisms to XQC were that he was not reacting enough, it was not transformative enough, and that like creators that he's been reacting to weren't contacted for their like permission to be reacted to, and he was basically cannibalizing the watch time for those videos, right? So how would you feel if XQC reacted to your video without your permission, first of all? Second of all, basically took all your views. Like, imagine like you're doing like 100 daily, and then now all of a sudden you do like 20 on a video, and it's because XQC like watched your video. And then imagine all of that, and his response to that is he does the worm, and then he flexes on like the criticisms. Yep.
Well, okay, if XQC did that with my videos now, I'd be actually kind of grateful, because nobody watches my videos.
Yeah, but like imagine
But yeah.
if it like had a negative impact on their videos instead.
Yeah. Okay. So if I was like more like famous, I remember this was like a huge issue when Jinx was a thing.
Yeah, Jinx upload.
Yeah.
Oh, Jinx reloaded, right?
Yeah, and then iDubbbz, that was like the first ever content cop, I believe, that iDubbbz made, and yeah, and it's just him silently watching. I mean, I'd be like, dang man, this guy isn't cool, but yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what I'd do. I'd just be like, I mean, I'm sure I can make a video and call him out and get a lot of views and make drama, but yeah, I'd feel like, I'd be like, oh man, this isn't cool, because I remember it also happened to, I believe, Lisa Koshi, I believe that's her name.
Yeah, I think that's her name, but I don't remember what happened with her.
So, that one guy, the guy on Facebook that's like, oh, I cannot, this is totally me when I'm driving, and then it shows the video. SoFlo Antonio.
Yeah.
So, SoFlo Antonio, like, yeah, I remember when SoFlo Antonio stole one of Lisa's videos, and it blew up, and then Lisa was like, oh, at first I was happy because so many people saw my video, but then I realized, oh, SoFlo stole all the views. So yeah, I would obviously be like, oh man, this sucks. But I mean, yeah, and I can make a video, but I would capitalize it on it, and I just make a video and like call XQC like, yo man, we gotta cancel this guy. But like, yeah, and I'm sure like, you know, XQC would. Oh yeah, and then you said that XQC like flexes. I'd be like, I mean, I'm sure it'll just be like, well, the results speak for themselves, and I'm sure the comments will notice that and be like, wow, XQC is not good. But yeah, I guess I can't, you know, go up and beat up XQC or anything, right? So in the end, I would just keep posting videos. Like the whole situation would blow over. I'd just keep posting videos. But yeah, if XQC did watch my videos now though, like freaking watches my Korea vlogs on stream, dude, I'd be okay.
That
with
would be
it.
great.
I'd be okay with it, man. Be like, you know what, man? It would probably. I don't know if I'd get any more viewers. I mean, it'd have to give me more viewers by like temporarily at least.
Just like by proxy.
Like temporarily, and maybe like a few hundred or a few even 10. But yeah, I wouldn't complain. I'd be like, oh shoot, XQC is watching. Imagine I posted on the TNSC server and I'm like, yo, XQC is reacting to my content. Like, that would be pretty crazy.
That would be dope.
That would be insane. So, well, yeah, I mean, these are kind of just reoccurring issues. Like, this is, when Jinx was a thing, 2016, again, the whole 2016, 2017, that was like the peak YouTube drama, like, era. So again, it's kind of just reoccurring, and like
I think so. It was Jinx Reloaded, then
Antonio.
Antonio. Then it became Susie Oil. Have you heard of her?
Mm-mm.
So basically, she was basically doing Jinx Reloaded, but for like anime.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was running a risk for the entire like YouTube community.
Yeah.
I think at one point she started putting it on like Patreon, or she made her own website, and I think Toei got into like legal like troubles with her, and like they went after her, I think.
Oh, for anime.
Yeah.
I mean, anime is a pretty big thing. Like, they have a whole studios, so.
Yeah, and then now it's like Gordon Ramsay, the whole like Hell's Kitchen meta before. Or Kitchen Nightmares.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, and then I think now it's just like reactions.
Right. Yeah, there's a time and place for React content. I think I have made like React videos before. Actually, there was one. I made like a FNAF one, and it was like some guy made real life animatronics, and it actually got 1,000 views. And I took it down because that was also during the time where the React content was being called out. And I was like, oh, I realized like morally this isn't right because I'm just, stealing views. So I actually made it. I think I privated it, but that was back in like, again, 2015. And I made another one like reacting to my Black Ops 2 videos, but I made those videos. And I think I made like clips. There's like a clip recording and like somewhat editing even function in Black Ops 2. So I made that. It's still up on my channel, actually. It was just me reacting to my Black Ops 2 clips. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm so good at Black Ops 2. I was so good, right? But, yeah, I think in general, I wouldn't really react. Yeah, I wouldn't really make React content unless it was directed to me. Like, oh, it's directly related to me. I should react to this. But yeah, like, I don't think I don't see myself becoming a streamer. Who knows? The future is unpredictable, but I guess, yeah, maybe I'd still eat during the stream, but maybe I wouldn't put a video up or something.
Do you like music or like have a BRB screen?
Yeah. Or just like literally just eat and stare at or read comments and eat, So, but I can't imagine being a streamer. Maybe even technically you are more likely to be a streamer than I am, technically speaking, but because you have streamed a few times and then.
Yeah, I think reaction streams are like the easiest form of like content in comparison to like other content. Like, I think streaming can be really hard if you do like the events, like sort of like what Ludwig does with like the Smash tournaments, but also I think he does like I think he did like Mogul Money before. I think he like finished that series, but Mogul Money, those are like the main ones I know. But like having like major events as like live streams is pretty hard, but like also reaction streams are like hella easy as well.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I don't picture myself being a streamer in the future. I'd picture myself more as like a video. I probably more like a content creator, like long form videos in the future. So, and yeah, if I were to react to something, I would just make that reaction, and then I'd probably cut a lot too. I don't think I'd just let it play out. I'd probably cut. Who knows if I would be the one cutting it too? Who knows if I'll have an editor or something, or like a separate editor. But yeah, that's just I guess that's my take on it.
Yeah. So I guess to continue on with like your sort of like future, you said you want to do like long form content, and I was curious about what what are you planning to do with, I guess, your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I initially started with shorts. Well, I guess I initially started my little artist break. Like I would consider this break right now like an artist break. I did quit my job in March, and then ever since then I've had this like artist block, and I have learned quite a bit. It's been about 6 months, about 5 months. It's been about 5 months in, and I have learned quite a bit, and I still am learning quite a bit every day. So initially I was like I had a bunch of shorts, and then I actually talked to like I DM one of the like one creator that I'm watching. His name is Brandon Veloch, and I think he's either our age or younger than us. And his content is really really good. It's like Mr. Beast level, like editing, like Netflix level, like Mr. Beast, like filming, um, YouTube YouTube style specifically. It's not like films like um, not like conventional films, not like movies, but very very YouTubey, but super well done editing. I think his what he needs to work on, which I'm sure he is just the ideas. He just needs to come up with better ideas. His execution on his ideas are super good. He just needs to make better, like clickable, more interesting things. But I actually DM'd him. He only has like 1,700 subs. I found his channel because he like ran a marathon, and I like marathons, and I just happened to run into one of his videos about marathons. It was like a marathon challenge of some sort, but ever since then I was a fan because his editing was really good. But I actually DM'd him on Instagram. I found him on Instagram, I DM'd him, and he replied instantly. And he was like, "Oh," and all I did was ask was, "How do you make good videos? Like, how are your videos so good?" And he dropped a lot of advice on me, dude. Like, we had a whole like 20-30 minute conversation. And I was surprised. He just like so much valuable information. He was like, "Oh, you need to join Creator Now," which is actually the film camp I'm in right now. Like, join Creator Now. Connections are a big thing. And thinking back, I'm like, wow, that makes sense, because my whole life I was pretty much the only content creator. Right now I can think of like maybe two other people that I know that are content creators. Actually, I do know one, or I know two. One of them's from church. One of them I met at UCI. But they're around like the one at UCI, he makes like skits. That's kind of like his niche, and he has like 60 subscribers. But the one at church, he actually has 1,000 subs, and he has like two like videos that have like 90K views. So he actually is monetized, like, and yeah, he's his niche is like keyboards, so like custom keyboards.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually is pretty, I guess, like he's a much better YouTuber than I am, I guess. Just judging from the success he's had. But as I was saying, yeah, from that advice I heard from Brandon, I was like, oh, that makes sense, because I was the only content creator my whole life, basically, and I didn't really have competition. I kind of just improved at my own rate, and I improved very slowly. So, but yeah, he also dropped like, oh, connections, and you should work for someone, like work for a YouTuber. That's what he did. Brandon did. And he's like, oh, focus on long form, because short form is not very good, like in terms of longevity, I guess, longevity and monetarily.
I guess more for basically like getting your audience, I guess.
Exactly. So I started off with shorts simply because it was easy. It's under 1 minute, and you just cut, and you can fit everything in 1 minute. And yeah, and I did improve a lot on that. But I realized, just over time, I'm slowly trying to transition away from shorts and try to focus more on long term, because long term is king, and is what makes you money. Short form does not really make you much money at all. You can get successful with short form though if you have something unique to offer, and you do that every single day, or you do that super super consistently. I think I've mentioned already before in this podcast, but like, for example, Lionfield, they're like two Italian guys, and they actually kind of react to Italian TikToks, but basically daily. they like react, and they're funny. They react like to Italian TikToks, and they do it every day, and they have like 6 million subscribers, something like that. But because they do it every day and it's unique that they're Italian, they blew up in shorts. They have some long form videos, but there's not that many views as much as their shorts. But for example, if I were to do my book reselling content, literally do it every day, or just super consistently, maybe every few days, and like keep going to list library sale, go to this thrift store, go to friends' houses and try to source books there. If I was super adamant, super consistent, I could probably blow up on shorts, because there's not really a influencer that's doing like book selling TikToks. Just like the analogy would be like Malad making a Subway sandwich. I would be just scanning books and then finding good flips. If I were to be consistent with that and I kept doing it, and for over a year maybe, I could probably find success. And also obviously also iterate, just try to be more entertaining, try to improve my book selling skills too. But I think I'm personally not gonna go for that route, because like you need something unique, and you need something you have to keep doing over and over again consistently. So I think I'm gonna go with more long form. That's more like, I feel like that's just more, there's more potential with long form. So I'm gonna try to transition away from shorts, do more long form. Actually, I have the last week of the Korea vlog, and I have this podcast, and all I've been doing these days has been like hobby content. I would, except for the shorts, I guess that's more trying to be algorithm like appealing, but in terms of my YouTube channel, it's all like hobby content. So I want to finish. I didn't anticipate to be 3 episodes, but I was gonna finish this and then see if I can find work like related to YouTube. It's gonna be more difficult, I guess, but I would try to like find connections, make connections in my film camp maybe. There is like IRL meetups. I should go to the one. There's like gonna be one in LA, like I don't know how many weeks from now, but I should go to that one. I should find people that are, I guess, better than me. I do know one person that is, but I don't know. Maybe one day I'll reach out to him. He goes to my church, although he's in the college service, and now I'm in the young adult service, so now I don't see him anymore. I should reach out to him. But yeah, my plans are to just try to make my long form content better. Definitely shift my focus more from artist to employee, I guess. These past 5 months, I'm sure by the time I'll finish all my work, the rest of my hobby content, I'll be finished in like September. So my artist break will be like these 6 months, and then I'll try to shift more towards employee, or try to shift my focus more towards being an employee and find a mentor or just someone that's better than me and learn from them. So yeah, those are my plans.
All right. So with your long form content, do you know what like genre you're gonna focus on? Do you know what you want to do with your long form? Like, do you want to do like hour-long essays, or do you want to do like film critics sort of deal, or is it more like your gym stuff from before?
That's what I'm gonna have to figure out. And fitness is, I guess, something I should try, because that is something I am definitely passionate about. The thing holding me back was my injury, but now I am starting to, there's like a turning point in my injury, and now I think I can start running again. So we'll see. But ultimately, yeah, the fitness part, possibly specifically running, could be the niche I go into. But ultimately, that's what we have to figure out, because the niche I've been doing would be the vlog/hobby content, or the vlogging basically, and that can, at least for what I've been doing, that only got me so far. It did get me, I did learn quite a bit. Without it, I would not know anything about editing. Like I even started as a gaming YouTuber, and then I became a vlogger. So I guess I've been through 2 niches so far. I don't think I'll ever go back to gaming. Obviously the future's not predictable, who knows, but I don't really game these days. So yeah, potentially fitness. Who knows, man?
So within fitness, I don't think you would have like the answer to this right now, but do you know what you want to do with like fitness? Like what will make you unique in comparison to someone like Greg Doucette or like Athlean or like some of the other like fitness YouTubers?
Obviously, that's what I'm gonna figure out. But potentially, I mean, one of my goals is to run a marathon. But even that is kind of saturated too now. Everyone's running a marathon these days. So if I were to step it up, I'll have to figure that out down the line. But something I do want to do personally, even in a personal level, I want to run. I want to be able to run. I want to beat my 100-meter time. I want to run fast, but also run long too. Will I run a 100-mile race, 50-mile race at some point? Maybe, dude. Especially after reading Born to Run, it kind of makes marathons seem lame, to be honest. When you read Born to Run, you're like, dude, 26 miles, that's it. But because Born to Run is based on ultra marathoning, not necessarily marathoning, and yet ultra marathons like 50, 100 milers, and in crazy conditions, so like high elevation or really 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 hot, like bad water. Some even like 200 or 300 miles too.
I think for like marathon content, I think you definitely have to like start off with like a regular marathon instead of like
yeah, of course,
ultra marathon.
Even a 5K, I'd have to start with a 5K or a mile time. Just beating my mile time. I would want to beat my mile time too.
Yeah.
So like I ran a 7:04 mile in my sophomore year of high school. I tried to beat it again in college. I got to a 7:37, but then my shin splints held me back. So now I'm back to running again. Seems like I can run again, but now I'm like at 9:40 or something like that. So it'll take me a while to build back up, but we'll see, man. Honestly, I think for my personal content creation, that'll be like figured out later. I think for now, I might have to start off as like an editor for someone else. So yeah, and then I would be able to, maybe while I'm that editor, I could make my own content, or
so just improve your skills and then find what your niche is later.
And what makes me unique, that's ultimately the only way you can really get by on YouTube. Is like you got to be unique somehow. No matter how good your editing is, like that Brandon Veloch, like his editing's super good, but he only has like 1,700 subs. He has the potential to blow up. He's going to be, he's gonna have 1 million subs within the next 5 years. I'm pretty sure I can count on that, unless he gives up. But your editing can be only so good, because ultimately what makes you viral is your ideas.
Mm-hmm. So with I guess this is something in sort of the long term, but what's your ideal subscriber count?
Right now, okay, I technically already hit 1,000 with my clips channel, but okay, I guess in theory, like a long form, I'm sure 100K is like the good like benchmark. Like 100K, if you have 100K subs on a long form channel, then you're doing well. You can make a living for yourself. So I think 100K, but ideally, I mean, 100 million like would be pretty high. That's a big number. And Mr. Beast has talked about like, oh, when you get to that number of followers, it's hard to go outside. People will always recognize you. So I wouldn't, maybe not too high, maybe not 100 million, but maybe 10 million lifetime goal, 10 million. But even as like, like a decade passes, 10 million will be the next 1 million, like right now, because like more and more people use the platform, and it'd be more common to have like higher subscribers count. Because back then, 10 million was super high. It was like out of reach, or like was not known. And then now there are hundreds of channels with over 10 million subscribers. And who knows, like Mr. Beast, maybe the first channel have 1 billion subscribers, maybe a decade from now. So I guess right now, 10 million, but a decade later, 10 million might be the next million. So
mm-hmm. I want to ask that question because I've seen a lot of creators come and go, and I wanted to know what your plans were on for like longevity of your channel. Like, do you remember T-Pain? He made one song that blew up, right?
Oh.
Yeah, but afterwards he thought he was like on cloud nine. He thought he was like really good and that he didn't need to improve. But once he hit like that, like after a while, he realized that hey, I should have capitalized on that moment. I should have kept the momentum going. I went up one hill, which was like me trying to be famous, but I didn't push myself forward up the second hill. So all I did was I went up one hill and fell back down that hill.
Right. I mean, I know what you mean. Like Nigahiga, he was like huge YouTuber, and he went on to stream. I guess he didn't quit. He became a streamer. But yeah, every YouTuber runs into burnout, you know. But I'm sure by then I'll have like multiple businesses.
Yeah, and then at that point you're just not looking towards growing. I guess you'll be looking more towards maintaining your audience.
Right. Even then, like I'm sure if let's say I become a YouTuber. Let's say my full-time job is a YouTuber and I get tired of it like sooner or later. I think by then I'll have other businesses, whether it's merch, whether it's literally a product. Honestly, I might just I think if I were to become a YouTuber, I would make a product. I would make a product that's like that's just really good. That's just that I made, right?
Like Prime?
Something like that, yeah. And if I were to okay, I'm tired of YouTube, I'd probably, if anything, I'd probably focus more on that company, and then even outsource, have YouTube keep going on, but completely outsource it and have other people do it for me.
Or like AI.
That. Yeah. Well, who knows? Yeah. For that product, and then try to promote my product a little more, or make a channel on that product or something. Yeah, maybe take over business, or just be like freaking, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, like one of the twins. Like he just, he went from a child actor to now he's like a brewery man.
I think that's Dylan.
Right, so he runs a brewery business, or he works at a brewery or something. Maybe I'll just end up like them and just work a normal job, and that's completely fine too.
Yeah, I think I had something to add to that. I forgot.
Maybe go back to school. I don't know. I guess these days I don't plan to go to school, but school's always open. You can always get another education.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on education, the education system? I remember we talked about this on Discord with the EIT, but I wanted to get more of an explanation and then go from there.
Well, actually, in my little artist break, even just ever since I graduated college, there are things you learn in life after it happens. So ever since I graduated college, I've just been thinking about why I'm like this. Why am I like this? Just in general, just personality, situation, financial, whatever, everything. And I'm I can think about school. Because school kind of reinforced that. Why am I naturally afraid of authority in general? Because school reinforced that, school, to keep you in control, school made it so you're afraid of authority. School, that's how they controlled you. So just thinking a lot about how school kind of just shapes people in general, just not just me, but everybody in this whole country. Ultimately, I actually even talked about this in one of the first two episodes of my podcast, but school makes you a good worker. That's ultimately what it makes you, especially high school. You work a 9 to 5 hours, but more 7 to 3. But it just makes you a good worker. It doesn't really encourage you to like find yourself, you know. It makes you more like, how can you support others rather than like finding what you want to do, you know. At least high school does. I guess college is a little more flexibility, but you know, there's a huge price tag and that has its own connotations as well. So yeah, I think if anything, school, I guess, forces you to do everything, forces you to do like a lot of things. Like, yeah, basically every single subject, like history, science. But, you know, some people are really good at this one thing, or some people are good at, you know, not even anything related to school, more so just like arts, or I don't know. Some people just don't want to. Some people just want to be like a blue collar. I don't know what collar, but like some people just want to freaking work on cars. Some people just want to mow lawns, right? So what I think about the education system, obviously a lot of work can be done to improve it. And then the question goes, okay, how do we improve it? And I think fundamentally it would have to change. Like, it's a very business school. The education is an industry, is $1 billion industry. College Board is worth like over $2 billion. And a whole fundamental change would have to happen to the entire education system, like completely different. It would have to become less of a business. And obviously that's really hard to do in America. So it would have to be less focused on profits and more so just like, the children and like them, the teachers being paid more, just we should be putting more of our money in education, because that's ultimately what makes the next generation. I think I should just encourage students to be more, to find what they really want to do.
For me, I feel like I had the opposite effect. I feel like school allowed me to find what I wanted to do. And I think, so when I entered high school, I really had no idea what I wanted. At the time, I was just like, science, or like something like that, because like that was what I was good at in like junior high and like elementary. I was like, science interests me. Science is pretty cool, I guess, but like nothing else really like sparked within me. And because of high school, in high school we had like a program for engineering, and that really sparked what I wanted to do. And like I wanted to do something with engineering. I wanted to do something where I could build something in front of me and like be able to test it and get all like hands on with it. And that engineering course made me want to do like something with computers ever since we had like that electrical engineering and like computer engineering like course in between the engineering years. And yeah, and then with college I was able to figure out like, hey, computer engineering is not really for me, but electrical engineering is for me. And I was able to like narrow down what I wanted to do with electrical engineering, which is communication systems. And I think that's more of how school affected me. And I was able to like retroactively see that now, like now that I've like graduated, I could see like what school allowed me, what school gave me, were insights to various different professions. Right, there was like APUSH and AP Gov. Well, APUSH is like APUSH and AP World History. Those are for people who want to go into like historian roles. You had like Gov and economics for people who want to go into like law and economy. You had like math for like math people, and then you had the sciences for like all the scientists, or like medical and various other things. And I feel like high school was the very first stepping stone that I did not realize until I finished college. And I think your point about the industry, where all like where it's a lot, where college and like the education system is like a $2 billion industry, right? And they take a lot of your profits. I feel like that sort of mentality could be applied to everything else. I remember in the Discord, you said something along the lines of if something is like, if you want to make money, you have to monetize something that you make people think is important, or something along the lines of that, right? I feel like that's everything, essentially, right? We live in like a time where everything was a luxury beforehand, we have like TVs and like cable. That's not really, we don't really need those things, right? Like TVs and entertainment is not really necessary, but we still get them, right? We don't really need like 5 billion cars or like the best of the best cars like a 2020 or like a 2023 or 2024 car, but we still get them, right? And it's like and like more ancient like examples are like the opium war, right? Back in China, they opium was not needed, right? But the British made a demand for it by forcing it onto people. I feel like the whole idea that because education is profiting from like people being in it, I feel like that isn't really a good like argument against education because that's basically any industry.
Yeah. It's just the country we live in. America's a very capitalistic country, and people just want to make a buck here and there. The book Born to Run actually brings up running shoes. Running shoes is also a thing that, um, you if you want to, well, like I mentioned earlier, if you want to get rich, you have to create a problem, and then, and then you make that solution too. You either solve something, you either solve a problem that already exists, or you create the problem to solve, and that's what running shoes were. Because before, the running shoes were only in 1960. Before that, people were running normally, like with flat shoes or, flat shoes that were thin. But and then Nike created the running shoe in 1960, and then ever since then, running shoes are a huge industry, and it correlates with injuries. Actually, it correlates with runner injuries. This is the most injuries that humanity's ever seen when it comes to running.
I think the running shoe was meant for increasing the speed of runners. No.
Well, that's like a track spike. A track spike increases speed. The Nike Alpha Fly, the one with the carbon plate, that also increases speed. The 4%, you know what I'm talking about?
No, not really. I'm not really like familiar with shoes. I just like look on like my phone. I scroll through trending. I see like complex people go shoe shopping. I'm just like, you spend $1,000 on that? It's just like, nah.
Yeah. So track spikes, track flats, or like Nike Alpha Flies, those would make you faster. But general running shoes, ultimately, the running shoe, I guess, makes you last longer. That's like, I guess that's what's the purpose of it. But yeah, it has correlated with running injuries, and I myself have had a running injury. And after reading this book, actually, the last time I ran with my church group, I switched to sandals. The first time I actually wore like the thick ultras, and after that ultra day, I was like really sore for 5 days, like my lower legs. But after I ran with the thin sandals, first of all, the sandals actually felt way better, like running on them. And then second of all, I wasn't as sore. I was still sore, but I wasn't as sore. But like significantly less sore. So yeah, so I could see how running shoes. I'm sure running shoes work for most people, or for like half people. But for me personally, they don't work. I got, ultimately what was my issue was I was running with not great form. But also I think the running shoes may have to do with it, because I saw running as faster walking, and walking like heel strike is like who cares? Like you can walk with the heel strike and that's fine. But I did that for running. I just like ran. I just heel strike walked harder to run, and that was actually what ultimately gave me a lot of injuries. So I learned that, okay, you need to land on your forefoot. You need to take shorter strides at a 180 beats per minute cadence, around there. And that's ultimately what I guess solved me. But I personally cannot really wear running shoes, at least often, because I wear my little, you've seen my shoes. I wore like the super wide barefoot shoes, and I guess from now I'm gonna start wearing the sandals. the running sandals. But yeah, but as I was saying earlier, yeah, there are some things that where the problem is created and then the solution is made. And yeah, running shoes is one of those things.
Do you think maybe a problem with running shoes is just that maybe people don't really understand running shoes? Because from what I learned from like having a job, is that if you don't know how to use a tool properly, you may it may result in like an injury, right? If you don't know how to use like a lug nut and you're just like trying to like bang it against like a nail, you might accidentally like break the lug nut and like a piece might go flying into you. Maybe the same thing's happening with like running shoes where maybe people don't understand the physics behind the running shoe or like the structure behind the running shoe, and they're applying the running shoe in a, I guess, unnatural way or an improper way.
Yes, my answer is yes. That was me. I wore running shoes all the time in high school. You know, whether I'm going to the beach, I still wear my running shoes. You know, I go to school, I wear my running shoes. You know, I go outside, I don't wear slides, man. I always wore running shoes. So I just didn't know. I was like, whatever, man. They're shoes, right? But like, yes, most runners, I think like super high, like 80% or something like that, are heel strike runners. And there's a heel to toe drop in most shoes where the heel is thicker than the forefoot. And honestly, I think that might have been a reverse engineering thing. Since most people are heel strike runners, a thicker heel would cushion the heel more. So I think that's why there's heel to toe drop. But yeah, ultimately nobody should be running heel strike. That's, you know, I think some people get away with it. But ultimately running with bad form is not good. That's probably what's killing everybody, or not killing, but like injuring everybody. And yeah, I think also it's like both are like both it's the person's fault, but both also the shoe. The shoe kind of promotes heel strike running too, because it cushions the heel and you don't know that it's bad form. So yes is my answer to that question.
Mm-hmm. So would it be more beneficial if there's more, like, I guess more instructions, or is it more like more teachings for the basic user consumer base?
I would say yes, because honestly, I think shoes should even be like a lesson in schools. You know, you have to learn like, okay, running shoes are for running. You want to switch to casual shoes, but also you don't want a narrow toe box because that impedes the function of your feet too. Your feet have like, you know, 26 bones, 30 something ligaments, and, you know, whatever muscles. Your feet apparently are like an engineer's dream. Like all engineers can appreciate like the structure of your feet, because, you know, it's basically a super important body part, and how it functions is like super complex, but it just works. And I think, yeah, it should be taught in schools like, hey, you should be wearing shoes that are good. If you want to go on runs, then you could run running shoes, and you have to pick the right running shoe. You know, I personally would just pick running sandals, and if you're running sandals guy. If you're a Nike whatever guy, if that works for you, then that works for you. If you're not getting injured, then it works for you. You know, some people are heel strike runners, like even in the Olympics. Very rare though. But like there's like a few heel strike marathoners. It's very rare. But yeah, if you can do that without getting injured, then, you know, that's your style, man. It works for you. So yeah, I would say ultimately, as a public, we should educate ourselves more, kind of like the food industry, you know, like there's so much processed food everywhere in stores, but we need to learn more as a public, like, oh, we should not eat the processed food as much, you know, like 20% processed, 80% produce. We should be cooking and eating like, you know, produce section foods, right? But yeah, I guess that's my answer. Yes.
For me, I'm not too sure if like teaching like shoes and like what shoes to be using should be something in like school personally, because I guess it's more like my philosophy on how school is run, but I guess I don't really see how it would fit in schools. Like maybe in PE, but I feel like that wouldn't be like a huge major thing, you know.
That would be, dude. That would be so clutch if that was in PE. If that lesson, if we learned that in PE class, dude, that would be like the most clutch thing ever. I think that's the most. I think that would be an appropriate thing to learn in PE, physical education. It's literally what it's called, physical education. Because the most we've learned, theoretically speaking, I guess, in PE was like the muscles on the back or something, or like the muscles.
I would just say stretching.
We took the muscles test. We had like a muscles test, and we had to identify which muscles are which. And honestly, like, any gym bro would know muscles a lot.
All we had at Sunny was just like the fitness pacer test essentially.
Oh, we didn't have that, but honestly, yeah. I think it would save a lot of injuries from happening. Just education. The first step of solving a problem is learning about it. Like, okay, why is this happening? Or what is it affecting? And you learn about that area too. Like I know so much about shoes and the muscles in your feet and the muscle in the lower leg and even the knee and like the quad. Like I know so much about it now just because I was like trying to figure out how to solve things. And now I know, okay, now I realize probably the biggest thing was my running form. So yeah, but I think education, there should be like a how to live section. I feel like, although that's more so technically it's reserved for that's up to the parents, right? But I think there should be more how to live lessons in school, like I guess home economic, like even laundry, but also just like, credit cards, or building your credit, or
I feel like that is definitely more for like a parent role. Again, I guess it's more of like my philosophy on like the school system, but school systems are, I feel like, or the education system, I feel like it's more for preparing, like or more for showing you the different fields that you could go to in like a job, right? It's less about like preparing you how to live a life. It's more of, this is what you could do, and we could try and interest you in it. And if you do, you could like get a degree in it. If not, you could probably just get like a blue collar job, go to like Target or like Walmart and work as like a cashier or something.
I don't think necessarily it has to be a replacement. I just think it should be an option. So it's like, so
like an elective.
Yeah. So like if someone, it's much harder to it's much easier to add than to remove anything. So it's like, if I don't want to do science class, not everyone likes science, right? Then I'll just do the home ec class, or I'll just do like the how to live class, because that can benefit anybody. But if I don't give a what, I don't know, if I don't give a, how should I say this the most PG way possible?
I mean, I cursed a little bit, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, but how should I say it the most? If I don't give a, what is the PG? Like if I say damn, that's technically okay. If I don't
I don't give a single thought.
Okay, if I don't give a single thought about science, then I'll just replace it with the how to live class, because it should just be like, I mean, I personally have to, I kind of have to learn a lot of things on my own too. So even just like how to get a job too, like I feel like that's part of how to live. Like how do you interview? There's no like
I think there are like workshops in like college, but
like workshops, but not necessarily like actual lessons, or like even elective classes.
I feel like that's something you have to like learn yourself, or like pick it up. Like there are like people who are naturally like interviewers, like interviewees, and
you don't have to. Why not just add it to the school system? That would just make things easier for.
It kind of already is, because just technically public speaking.
Public speaking.
Yeah, that's a course. It's required in a lot of like colleges. Even I took it.
Colleges. What
Yeah.
about high schools? But
I mean, technically, it's your English class when you're doing presentations about like stuff.
I feel like job interviewing is also like its own skill.
Yeah, it's definitely its own skill, but the problem with having like a class for job interviewing is that there's so many things for like job interviewing that you can't really have a class for it, in my opinion. Like I've been through like, I don't know, at this point like 30 to 50 interviews, and like they've all been unique in their own rights. It's not something you can prepare for like with a class. You just have to basically wing it and hope that what you're able to do is like show yourself.
So there are actually plenty of interviewing YouTubers, or like YouTubers that give you like interviewing tips. I would just say cover all of them then. Like every day is a new lesson, right? Like anything, like math. There's so many lessons of math. There's, learning the area of a circle, learning this. Same thing with interviews. Like cover, okay, what if you want to be a construction worker? I don't know, just like, or like interview the second interview, or interview. Those are all different lessons.
Yeah, but it's like,
or maybe like make them like interviewing and then dash this specific field and make that its own like class.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like if you're doing it like interview for this field, I don't think it's gonna be effective. Like you get like people like understanding how to interview for other fields, but it's sort of like the same thing where it's just like, I only need one section, so like why do I need to prepare for like all of these other useless sections?
You can say that for anything, for any of the subjects we learn in school.
That is true, but I feel like part of like for some of the stuff in like other subjects, I'm able to like pull from it essentially. There's like every single, I feel like with my education, there's a lot of things I could pull from like a single class. Like with like a lot of the biology classes that I've taken, like from high school, from junior high, from college, there are like things like I like with like my meal prep, I'm able to pull out something from my biology class where it's be learning about like food intake and how it affects my body. Another thing from like biology was like vaccinations and how vaccinations actually work. And I could go on and on about it, but there are like various things that like you may not like understand why they're useful, but once you get into like out here in like past like college, and you get to hear more about like I guess politics and all of that stuff, and more things about in like the real world, you start to like appreciate like these lessons. Like of course you're not gonna use like things like the derivative or integrals if you're like an English major, but sometimes you may find it useful. But if it's like with interviewing for different fields as a class, I don't feel like I would pull from like interviewing for like a historian role.
You wouldn't?
No, I wouldn't.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, in like what would they ask an engineer?
Well, okay. So, like you said, every role is unique. So, the points you brought up with biology was so it was biology, vaccines, right?
Vaccines. I believe. What did I say? Vaccines. Oh, meal prep.
So if you could pull that from that, so if you can pull that information from a random biology class or from a random biology lesson, what makes you think you can't pull anything from a random interviewing class You know, even if it has to do with historians or like, you know, being a historian. It's kind of like saying you can't learn, or was it that one bit of advice like you can learn something from anybody. That's what I personally think. So, but what you're saying is
I'm thinking more
that's
of like
not
the
true.
quality of it. It's not like it's not necessarily that you can't learn anything from it. You could definitely get something from it. You could get like interviewing skills, but I guess why do you want to pursue that? Like, why would you want 12 lessons of basically the same thing over and over again? The same information over and over again.
What does that mean?
So, your structure for the interviewing class, right? It's interviewing for construction, right? Interviewing for historian, right? You're not gonna pull anything like a construction worker is not gonna pull anything from, I don't know, an English major interview. They could pull basic interview skills like how to talk, how to position yourself, all that stuff. But you're not gonna, like, if you repeat it like 5 times, you already know that. You already know those basic skills. So why do you need that an English like aspect of that interview?
What do you mean you already know the basic skills?
So, like, you're repeating, like, the interview class, right? You said each session is going to be interview, but for this field. Interview for this field. Interview for this field, right?
Well, I mean, you start off with like basics.
Yeah.
101, like interviewing 101.
Yeah, but after that, like, you said you wanted to do just interviews for every field, essentially, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that once you've been through like 3 or 4 or like 5, I guess, the only difference between each, like, the only thing that you're learning between each one is just like a few questions specifically tailored for that field, right? But you're not gonna ever use that. You could learn the skills for interviewing in like 4 or 5, right? 4 or 5 lessons, and you basically the other ones are just basically other practice. But the main draws for those other ones are the field related questions, right? So if you're basically a construction worker, what's the use of getting into preparing for an English interview? You know what I'm saying?
So,
like, even like if you have like already like 5 of those lessons already down.
So I would say it would be more like a seminar or more like an interactive class, more like a practicing class. So I would say that if you want to tackle everybody in the room, this is how you would do it. Because obviously not everybody wants to be a construction worker. Or you can even make separate classes as like, this is construction worker, but not everyone wants to be one. But everybody in the room doesn't necessarily know what they want to be when they grow up. And who knows, maybe somebody 30 years from now will change their mind, be a construction worker. Or, you know, obviously there's a lot of occupations, but maybe it doesn't have to be certain occupations. It could just be fields, like science field or this field. And a lot of interviews, at least the first interviews would be like behavioral questions. So that's like, you know, one little unit or whatever. That's like one little lesson, batch of lessons. And then, you know, then you would start to be more specific. But
I guess so. It's more of like just practicing for the various interview questions rather than having like it be purely for learning how to like interview. Like it'll be the practice for various styles.
well, then that's just, at that point, that's an improv class, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's an improv class. And honestly, I would say learning from an improv class is better than nothing. Or like, obviously it's better than nothing, but what you're saying is I don't think I could take anything from that, but I think I think you can take it. I personally think you can take anything from an improv class.
Well, I'm not saying you can't learn anything from it. I'm saying that the quality like of it eventually like diminishes. Like you're not learning anything new.
The quality?
Or not like quality, but like the worth of the class diminishes. Because you're just repeating the same thing over and over again. Eventually, that sort of like...
Not the same thing over and over again. It's different different scenarios. Okay, I'm not here to like freaking, construct a whole class ground up, right? But like anything, math has a bunch of lessons. And I don't need to know, the area of a circle versus like knowing, I don't know, how to calculate change. Honestly, yeah, I would just say it's like it's essentially another public speaking class.
Okay.
I'm not, yeah.
I've used a lot of the area of circle in my class.
Oh,
in my
yeah,
classes,
that was just for
like
example.
engineering.
Yeah, that's just an example.
Yeah, I feel like in engineering we use every single form of math, and then we add more to the math.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what were we even? So it was just. I guess my stance is I think we should have more IRL
like
classes in general.
More like skill-based classes.
Classes just more applicable to IRL, like everyday life, rather than like science, math, English, which is more career.
Yeah, I think that's more skill-based classes, right? I would say, like not like skill-based, but like
home ec. I mean, I don't know. I think we should have more home ec. We should have more like, for example, gender studies. Yeah, just more applicable stuff, I guess.
Yeah, and for me, I think my stance is that I feel like those sort of things should be more relegated for, I guess, parents to handle, and I feel like school is more of a tool for you to explore different fields.
Right. It is mandatory, like I guess until high school, it is like fully mandatory, and then college is kind of just on your own. So I guess we just do live in an age where everybody has a bachelor's degree, but who knows? It really depends. Yeah, it really just depends. Some people do find success and like, oh, this is something I want to do, and others are like, I don't know.
Yeah, some like for me, I think I'm just getting my master's just because I find my field interesting, but I know like other people feel like you need masters because bachelors isn't worth it. I feel like bachelors is still worth it. I don't think it's so. I think before, like, I think when it was just coming out, I think bachelors guaranteed you a job, but I don't think that was its main effect. I think a bachelor's allowed you to view a field, essentially, or like look into a field or become more knowledgeable about a field. I don't think the main effect was getting you a job. I think that was a side effect that everyone started focusing on and thinking this is important.
The education?
Well, I remember you sent a video saying that bachelor's is becoming useless because everyone's getting it, right?
Oh, I don't remember sending.
It was an Alex Hormonzi video.
Oh, maybe. I don't really remember.
Yeah, I remember this. Well, I sort of remember this, but I think bachelors being everywhere isn't like a bad thing. I think it's more of just people going through the education system and trying to figure out what they want to do. And I think masters is something for people who want to further explore that field. But I don't think correlating bachelors to jobs is something that is really just I don't know the right word, but I don't think it's correct in a way, because I think that was just a side effect. It wasn't like the primary effect of like having a bachelor's.
I don't know. I have nothing to say. I don't know. At this point, man, we were recording for so long. I'm just like,
Mine
yeah, my brain is just not even.
It's an hour 30.
So I
Do you
think
want-
so. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna release. So okay, so we had 3 recording sessions, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna do the first one, edit that one, put on my main channel. I think the next 2, the second one I'm not too sure, but this third one for sure I'm gonna do like a podcast with Chrees extended, and then probably put it on my clips channel maybe, and then don't really edit it, just sync the audio, and then maybe put a date in the beginning. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Bachelor's degree, I have one, and I'm like, dang man, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know. I guess some people, you can learn things from parents. Like there are things like, oh, the parents should teach you, like, if it's like, oh,
Laundry.
yeah, right. I guess, yeah, how to sweep the floor. You don't really need a class for how to sweep the floor, right?
Yeah.
But if it's like, oh, credit cards, yeah, you should probably have a class for credit cards. But
And I'm sort of learning that from my parents.
yeah,
Like, I don't think it's a huge thing.
I just think home ec should be. I'm sure like home ec does exist. Home ec, and I'm sure there's some IRL classes that exist, but like I'm sure there's a credit class somewhere.
I think there's like like seminars at like college, but
Yeah.
I could be mistaken.
I just think there should be a little more of those, like in high school. I think just a little more. I think
Maybe
I think
like having like
ultimately-
seminars, sort of deal, like or like having it like sort of like mini events. I would say during like a lunch or
Yeah.
something.
ultimately, I think there should just be a little more flexibility in high school curriculum, I'd say, because I feel like there wasn't much flexibility in the high school curriculum,
Yeah,
at
like,
least in my experience.
yeah, like you're forced to take like an English class, even though
Yeah.
you want to be like an engineering major, like college. Like if you're set in like a certain degree that you want to do, there's like certain fields that you don't really need.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like for me, there are some fields that are definitely necessary. Like I think science is definitely necessary. Like
Mhm.
biology, some form of like chemistry. I don't think like all of chemistry is necessary, but some of it is, and some of physics. Actually, yeah, definitely physics. I don't know. Like I feel like I remember watching. I remember a clip of this guy named. Do you know Aiden Ross?
Yeah.
I feel like every single clip where Aiden Ross is talking about like something scientific, I feel like he skipped out on like high school or something, or junior high for some reason.
Mm.
But like there are certain like fields I do feel like is necessary.
Yeah. I don't. I'm not sure what you just said there. I kind of just went over my head. But I was thinking about the bachelor thing. I think a bachelor's degree, I think it is a fact that everyone's having a bachelor's, and it's the value of having a bachelor's getting lower and lower. I think it's inflation even, or like not like money inflation, but bachelor's degree inflation. It's just how anything works, I get. Like essentially a degree inflation, I feel like.
Yeah, I think I did explain it though from like my perspective, but I just feel like the job security thing is just a side effect of going through college,
Job security?
or like getting a job
Oh yeah.
was it like a side effect. I don't think that was like the primary goal of a bachelor's, like when it originally was created.
Right.
I think people just like before people liked the idea of having somebody accredited by like a major institution to like work for them.
Right. I do notice, like, even when I apply to jobs, a lot of them are starting to ask for masters. At least with, I think back when I was looking for data science stuff. I guess it does depend on the actual like position, but yeah, I think bachelor's it's just more objectively harder than back in the day to find a job with a bachelor's. Like I knew a guy, um, actually a few of my friends who are in the same data science like math branch. Um, they go to grad school because they did try job hunting, and then they saw all of the freaking listings that wanted a master's degree or want you to work towards a master's degree. So even Manir knows he wants to get like a master's degree. Like, you know, you are getting your master's degree. So
Yeah, but I think I'm getting it for different reasons.
just more money.
No, for just I'm interested in the field.
Oh, okay. Because like you have like a passion for the
Yeah,
electrical engineering.
but
Yeah.
I think to like respond to your point, I think your point was essentially that all of the jobs require like masters, right? Do you know like if data science is like specific, like really specific? Because I've noticed that like for when I applied, uh, when I was looking at towards like my field, like radio frequency engineer or like telecommunications engineer, those ones require like a master's. But if I went for like associate electrical engineer, right? Associate electrical engineer is like super general, and it didn't really require a master's. It required a bachelor's, and you were good. But like if I went more specific with like radio frequency engineer, then they require the master's. So I'm just wondering if like data science is that specific in like the field of math, or is that like, you know?
I think I actually, yeah, actually yes. I think because the specifically with the field of math, undergrad kind of covers the basics of like the grad stuff. So ultimately the grad stuff is like when you start to learn, yeah, specifics. I guess, yeah, that's just how it works. Like you
Yeah.
learn more specific things.
Yeah, I think you're just looking at really like,
Oh, like specific positions?
yeah, specific positions. Cause
Oh no, actually no. Then in that case, then because you know it's even data analyst, data scientist,
but
like
you didn't have
all
a
that.
degree in like data analyst, right? You had a math degree.
Oh well, like it says any related degree. There's data science degrees, but then ultimately most job openings said an any related degree. Like if you had a related degree, that's fine too. But
But they're going mainly primarily look for data science.
yeah, and like masters is just is either, well, yeah, you do learn a lot more specific. You just learn more in masters, I think. Um, I mean, yeah, that's all I could say because ultimately, man, I just lost my train of thought, man. So, yeah, I completely lost my train of thought. Master's degrees are more. Yeah, I was gonna say something about master's degree and I just forgot it. Do you have any?
Well, for me, I think master's degrees are more specific and they're more tailored to a specific field. So if you're trying to get a master's degree, I feel like you're mainly doing it for that field. I don't think you're doing it to get a job, in my opinion. You want to get a job in that field, right? You want to get a job in like data science, and you come from like a math degree, right? Math is very general. Same with like electrical engineering. Electrical engineering is very general. There's many branches in electrical engineering. You could go power, PCB, transistors, and communication systems. And like for like masters, I'm going to like specifically uh, communication systems. With math, your friends are going. They're like different fields of math, I guess. I don't really know what the fields in math are, but one field that your friends are going to is data analysis.
Yeah, ultimately, when it comes to getting a job, experience is like the biggest thing. Um, Even if you don't have a great education, if someone's super experienced in the field, then they're more than qualified. Um, though I think education is used more to like narrow down the applicants. But also, yeah, I'm sure I'm sure learning more in school is good, like beneficial for the job. I did notice though, like I did notice that like when it comes to jobs, you kind of have to be trained anyways. So education maybe gives you like a basis, but like I would say not as much as training and an actual job would.
Yeah.
So ultimately experience is king, but then I think education is simply just used to like narrow down the applicants.
Yeah, I think for me, yeah, experience is definitely like king, but in order to get that like experience, I feel like you need sort of a sort of jumping board.
Yeah.
And I feel like education is that jumping board. Like, I guess,
Formal education.
yeah, formal education.
Mm.
Because I think for like me, electrical engineer, like if I didn't have like my education, I wouldn't have been able to like play around with like oscilloscopes or like, I guess for like layman's terms, electrical engineering test equipment or just general electrical engineering equipment. And I guess, oh, and various like different softwares for electrical experiments. Without education, I probably like to get that sort of experience. I would have to like either find somewhere to do that, and I don't think anyone without a degree would be allowed in, or I would have to like buy those equipment, which, I mean, it's like $1,000 per piece at minimum, so it's just like impossible. Like if you're like a high school student.
Yeah. Obviously, there has to be some degree of education for anything, for any like job. But I guess it's specifically formal. There's like formal education and there's like general education. Like if you know how to do your job, then technically you don't need to like have formal education. But again, it all depends on what it is. So if like you're a doctor, you need a med degree, right? You need to go to med school.
Yeah, it's also the accreditation thing where you have to like have the correct credentials.
Yeah. But if it's like, my job at Arbitech, right? Then you don't need a college degree at all. I knew someone who didn't have a college degree and he was working there and he's like a high position. So I forgot why were we even talking about just like masters, bachelors, or
I think so.
Oh yeah. I think inflation, I don't know, just degree inflation is a real thing. So master's degree is like the new standard, or is going to become the new standard, especially when the next generation, like when we have kid or like our kids, right? I feel like they'll like at that point everybody's going to have to go to the masters.
I think for me, my position was that I think we're repeating this again, but
yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know what's going on. We've been talking for like 4 hours straight, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to just call it and then grab something to eat? I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, this is the plan. While you were talking, Chris, I was like thinking of a plan. So I think I have a plan for these podcasts now. So
okay,
the first ever episode we recorded today at like freaking, what was it, 5 p.m, 4:30. It's like 9 right now. I'm gonna actually edit that and put that on my main channel, right? These next 2 recording sessions, I'm gonna combine them and do as little editing as possible. Maybe put a date and time, and then sync the audio. And then so it's hour 45, and our last one was hour 4. It's gonna be like a 3-hour episode, and it's gonna be Michael and Chrees podcast extended. And I'm gonna put that on my Coatedinacid clips channel. And pretty sure no one's really gonna watch it anyways. But who knows? Actually, who knows? But I'm just gonna put it. Ultimately, the Coatedinacid clips channel was supposed to be like Coatedinacid 2, or like my alternate channel, but
or like your like spam channel.
Yeah, my alt account. But yeah, because this is way too long. Like I think the first 55 minutes where your mic cuts off, but only for the last 8 minutes. I think that's okay. I'm gonna put that as the only episode of like the official podcast, and then these next 2 are just like
unofficial
bonus episodes for people who like
the Patreon version.
The people who like to hear us talk, and I don't know who likes to hear us talk. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you'll be like world famous electrical engineer, and then I'm like super famous Mr. Beast 2 or something. I don't know. But this is getting ridiculous. I'm like we are like debating kind of like we have like we're doing like a debate here and like we're trying to like do arguments, but my brain is just fried right now.
Yeah, same.
I heard your stomach grumble a few times.
Yeah, I know. I haven't
I'm hungry too, dude.
I haven't eaten since like 8.
Yeah. Did we cover all your topics, or do you still have any left?
The last one's Lil Tay, but I don't think it's important.
Okay, yeah, Lil Tay. Is she like 15 by now?
She died and then she came back.
Oh, okay. Is she like she was like 8 years old back in the day, right? And now
Yeah.
she's probably like 13. I don't know.
14, I think.
I don't know, man. But Lil Tay, she's gonna be.
She's in like some lawsuit or something. I don't know.
I didn't know she was still relevant, but anyways.
No, she came back recently just because like somebody posted on her Instagram that she died
Or like physically died, or just like
physically. Yeah.
really?
Yeah, and then it came out that was
fake?
false. Yeah, that was
Okay.
fake.
Just like Gabriel Iglesias when he when someone wrote an article saying that he died, but then he didn't actually die.
Yeah.
But anyways, Lil Tay, I don't know who Lil Tay is. Well, okay, I do know who Lil Tay is, but we'll I guess next time. Oh, okay, actually, I can talk about my podcast plans actually. So actually, you were supposed to be the second to last guest, and I got one more guest, and that was going to be the end of season 1 of this podcast, and I was going to not record podcasts for maybe another year at least. Yeah, so potentially in season 2, maybe even in season 3, if that's possible, we can talk about more, because clearly you have a lot more to talk about. So this is just the first time I've had a podcast with Chris, so I'm sure. I mean, dude, we're like we live pretty close to each other.
Yeah.
Pretty close friends. We're pretty close friends too, so chances are we're gonna have another like podcast episode.
Yeah.
in
It
the
just
future.
depends on how like my masters and work go.
Yeah, so episode 1, or the first recording session, the first 55 minutes will be on my main channel. Am I even on Frame? I don't even know if I'm in Frame actually doing that, but the first episode will be in the main channel. The latter 2 recording sessions will be Chrees and Michael extended, and I guess I'll have to record like a I guess an outro for episode 1, but that will be on the Coatedinacid Clips channel, and I already hit 1,000 subs on that channel, and I don't really care. Like, I don't see myself doing more, I guess, innovating with that channel. I think I'm just gonna keep throwing shorts, and I might just stop eventually at some point. But
For your podcast, are you planning to do an intro? Because I remember with, I think it was Ludwig for The Yard, in order to like get a nomination for The Yard for like podcast of the year, they needed like an intro.
what do you mean intro? Like just
Like like just like
like
a regular
trailer
kind of no, but like
or intro to this episode or trailer.
like sort of like a title card sequence in a way.
Oh, like dun, 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 like Ali intro, like dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun. Oh no, not really. I mean, this is a very low budget podcast, so not right now. But who knows? Maybe season 2, season 3. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe with a, I guess, catchy name. To
Oh
the
yeah,
podcast.
Coatedinacid. Who knows, man? I don't know, but
The Couch Potatoes.
maybe. I guess I'll promise another episode with Chris, because Chris clearly has a lot to talk about. Right now we just talked about random stuff. These past 3 hours we just talked about completely random stuff.
I think it was 4.
Well, I guess the first hour will be on the main channel. The latter 3 will be on the second channel, the Clips channel. So I don't know anybody who's gotten to this point. I doubt anybody has gotten to this point, man. Like,
Yeah, true. I think we just rambled for like
yeah,
4 hours straight.
yeah, dude. So if you actually watch this, I don't know, just leave a comment. I don't know, leave a comment below saying I actually watched this. Or wait,
No, you have to do something
so
like random.
potato or like what was it? Couch potato or
Couch Potato Podcast.
couch potato podcast. Comment couch potato I can't even speak anymore. Comment couch potato podcast below if you're actually at this point of the podcast. But that's the end here.
Let's go get like Habit or something.
We're hungry, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe In-N-Out. I don't know, but I guess I should.
I kind of want to try a Habit or like
Really, Habit?
I think I had the Habit. I think I want to try Five Guys. I haven't had Five Guys.
You know what? I haven't either. So we're gonna go eat at Five Guys, guys. Oh, Five Guys, guys. That's funny. But I think I'm gonna record like a little like outro for episode 1. If you want to see more of me and Chris talking for literally 3 hours, I guess click in the link in the description below, or I can actually put it in the title card. I don't know where I'm pointing, but I can put a title card right here. It's literally 3 hours of us talking. So if you really want us to hear us talk, then you can go there.
And it also has a little bit of audio issues.
Yeah, for like how long? Like 47 minutes. Like
yeah, I think it was 47. We talked about like for an hour, and we noticed that it only recorded like 17 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think the audio might be scuffed, and we might be using like the iPhone.
Yeah, exactly.
Audio.
So I think the first hour is a bit scuffed. The second 2 are good. So I don't even know if this camera is recording. It probably is. I didn't hear anything, but
maybe. Well, okay. Maybe it's not full. Hopefully, it's not full.
Oh, we're still recording. We're good.
Okay, good.
All right, guys. We're finally ending this madness of talking for 4 hours straight. I think I just wasn't mentally prepared to talk this long. But
I'm also not physically prepared because I only slept for 4 hours from 8 to like 1.
So we'll keep that in mind in the future. I think next time we film a podcast with Chris, we better be ready to do it for 3 hours plus. So
yeah,
we'll see you in the next episode with my next guest. And if you're still, I guess if you're watching, oh shoot, I don't even know if this is even going to be, I don't even know if this part of the, I think, okay, so when I said the title card part, I'll cut that and I'll put that in the first episode. But after that, now we're in the extended right now. So we're in the extend right now. So
we're just recording for the outro for the other one.
Yeah, so so I guess if you listen to us, yeah, remember to comment Couch Potato Podcast. And if you want to hear Chris and I talk again, it'll be like in a future season of the podcast, season 2 or season 3. I don't even know if I'm gonna have a season 3, but
we should start season like 2 or 3 with like the entire crew.
I'd have to buy more mics then.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I mean, we could just do like, I remember there's
then that'd just be the Nature Show Crew podcast making a comeback. I mean,
no,
we'll
but
see.
it'll be just like one episode.
Yeah, okay, we'll see.
And then like we could just rotate each other like out for like the other next episodes.
Right. All right. Well, this is the end of this 3 hour the 3 hour special extended Michael and Chris talking about random stuff that we're probably gonna forget the next day. So
all right, see you guys. I might pass out in like 2 hours.
okay. All right. See you guys. We're gonna go eat. Five Guys.
Yep.